Okay, I don't know what the fuck happened, man. That shit's so annoying. Like, oh well, we're back at it. Hello again. I'm so sorry if I, Molly. First off, thank you for the 2 buckaroonie. Hello, love. Hello, and welcome there, guys. I hope I didn't miss anybody there. I don't know. I literally have no idea what happens with the stream sometimes. Um, YouTube is still kind of in its infancy as far as streaming goes, so though I like to imagine that it would be a perfect experience every time, I'm pretty sure my internet's pretty solid as far as, uploading and all that kind of stuff. But I should do a face cam. Probably won't. Yeah. Just too much to think about. But yeah, I just I don't know. Pay my bills, yeah. Maybe that's the case. Fuck. These donations should just go right into Comcast Pocket. Sometimes, I don't know. People do honestly, I can't even speculate on what happened because I have no actual knowledge of what happened or what was going on. But I'm glad we got it figured out there. Monday morning with the 5 says Zoom is a video chat with Zoom is a video chat with probation officers. Cops can arrest you for drinking and gaming at home. What? Wait, what? Zoom is a video chat. Were we talking about Zoom? I don't recall. Cops can arrest you for drinking and gaming at home. Why would they arrest you for drinking and gaming? Is that an actual thing? I hope we're not. We're all gonna get arrested here, probably. Thank you for the 5 Monday morning. And Anna M with the big 15 says, love listening, Joel. I get so excited every time I see a notification for a video pop up. Thank you, Anna. Welcome, welcome. Well, hopefully we can get back to where we were here with, hopefully everyone finds their way, unless some people I'm sure may have slowly faded into the abyss of sleep. Victoria, no worries. Just glad you guys are here. Anyways, sorry about the technical issues there, but moving directly on, we are going to be doing just some more nice Reddit stories here. These are some solidly upvoted spooky stories, so they should be pretty good. Amir says, Joel, I'm scared. I just got a golden chain put into my gums to align my adult teeth after the late baby ones got extracted. You got a golden chain put into your gums to align your adult teeth. I feel like I'm not familiar with this, but is that just like braces, or I'm not sure if that's something to be scared of or not, but Nicole with a 20 buckaroonie says, thank you for being my favorite creepy narrator. You're welcome, Nicole. Thank you for the 20. Goodness gracios. Leslie, I didn't get a notification. Yeah, I don't know. I really hope. The thing about YouTube that's weird to me sometimes is I almost feel as if though, I'm not really sure who's running the show. You know what I mean? As far as technical issues, I know it's a lot of information to store, and they've kind of got that figured out. But sometimes when it comes to lately, I've been noticing you go onto Twitch streams, and Twitch sort of they always get the notifications out. It's always usually very clean. People can always rely on running their streams at whatever quality, very consistently, dependent. Even with shite internet, you know what I mean. And then there's all these little features that show streams and related things, and obviously streaming is the center focus on everything, so obviously trying to get as many people there as possible is first and foremost. But I think for YouTube, their main focus is obviously just the presentation of videos and how to keep you on the site as long as humanly possible. But yeah, guys, we're you know what, we're right back up to 200 people, which is fantastic. I really appreciate you guys being here. Sorry again for the issues with technical stuff. Hopefully it doesn't flare up again here. I do hope one day, if I get my own sort of crib, MTV crib, I hope that I can get like the most badass, like military grade internet you could ever imagine. That would be like the greatest investment I think I could do for life. Something that just like plugs a metal cord into the back of my neck like the Matrix, and I'm pretty much in a room with all 200 of you right now. Well, my friends, since we've already went through the opening, which was pretty funny because it was like before it cut out, it was like 20 exact minutes of the opening, which will still be up on the streams playlist. So if that's something you want to check out later, feel free to, But this is part 2, and we are gonna make our switch over to Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse. Isn't internet super cheap in America? I don't think it's not. It's definitely not like cheap, especially, and it's definitely not good. Like you go some places in Europe, and granted, I'm sure their infrastructure is a little bit different, and there's not quite as many things getting in the way of the monopoly that is Comcast, but. Or I don't know if that's what I wanted to say at all, but from what I hear, their internet is like 100 times faster, which is kind of bullshit. I'm like I'm fucking ready, man. I am ready for like, do you remember like the jump from dial-up to broadband was so fucking badass. I just felt like I was on a new plane of existence, and I feel like maybe just because I haven't been keeping up with the technology, but I was curious as to like to what extent internet has actually made advancements here in the United States, but I'm not really sure. Melissa with a 5 says, thanks for coming back. I panicked a little bit, lols. Yeah, really weird technical issues. I never can guess what it's going to be, honestly, even though pretty much the extent of my abilities is that I reset the router before every time I stream just to really make sure that it's like, I don't fucking know, like operating at optimal efficiency, but other than that, like I can never tell. Like if it's like, it could have been on like, OBS, which is my streaming service that I use to like, stream to YouTube, and then either it could be a YouTube issue, there could be a client issue. Yeah, I can never tell. There's so many different variables, but one time I ran out of like data, or like OBS like ran out of data that it could use, but let me find Iron Cthulhu here, even though I love this music and do appreciate it quite a large amount. We're going to try the iguana song again just because I fucking love it. Joel loves iguanas. Mr. Goat with the 2 says, I'm going to be a dad in August. Hey, Mr. Goat, congratulations. That is amazing, honestly. My buddy just had gave birth to another daughter that kind of caught me off guard because it was his second daughter, and it's sort of, I feel like, the period of pregnancy came and went so quickly. But yeah, 9 months certainly does fly by. I kind of noticed that with nursing, is like, whenever I was in nursing, I was around a lot of women, and it was just like someone was getting preggo like every 2 minutes, and then I just was like, whoa, she had her baby? It's been 9 months already? You know what I mean? So that was something I realized, that time flies by. EJ with the 5 Aussie bucks says, Joel's poll is every mum's goal. The old nursery rhyme, you know it right there. Thank you for the 5. But guys, we're going to switch over to our reading screen. Once again, as always, if there's anything you could possibly wonder about me, you can find it down in the description below. I encourage you guys, if you have some creepy stories or things that you've experienced, whether paranormal or with a stalker or what have you, please send it to reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. That's linked down below. Or send it to my email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com. It's preferred that it goes to Reddit just because it's easier. And it's easy to create an account. It can be, you don't even need to verify your email with that, so you can create like anonymous accounts and things of that nature, which is kind of interesting for a website like Reddit, you know. I don't really know how it works, but they do it. They do it. Your mom was like 10 months preggo with me because I was 2 weeks late. Yeah, I was 2 weeks late too, which was kind of funny. Oh, I'm always late. And follow me on Instagram at letsread.official. That's my Instagram. And at letsreadcreepy on Twitter. And follow Horny Computer, which is my Instagram meme page where there's a lot of edgy memes we post. Fry is heavily involved in that. Geo, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to scoot these over so it's kind of centered on my screen. Geo, you can definitely send a story. Yep. Reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial. My zodiac sign is a Gemini. It was a long time ago, before cell phones were prevalent, and I was a mom in my early 30s who had just driven our kids to the pediatrician. The Macon... Shit, sorry. Maybe I'll just say Georgia. Is Macon, I guess that's a place in Georgia. Anybody familiar with that? Macon. Oh, I see. Macon, Georgia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Macon. Emmy B with the 10 says, I got engaged a little while back and gained 3 small children from his previous marriage. It's crazy and a bit overwhelming, but I love them and they love me. That's amazing. That's amazing, honestly. Yeah. I'm sure they will. Being with them young and really just being there for them at all, is a connection that they really, really need in their lives. So I'm so happy that they have such an awesome person to be there with them. Especially, starting out that young. You're going to mean a lot to them, for sure. Macon. Oh, Macon and Macon. Macon. Macon? Macon like bacon. Nice, okay. Macon like bacon, baby. McDough. McDough, Georgia. The Macon, Georgia doctor's office was an hour away from our home, and I was just taking the 2 youngest of my 3, then ages 1 and 3 years old, to our scheduled appointment. Because we lived so far away, their office always gave us the last 2 appointments of the day, and we were grateful. The doctor had just built a new building off of a fresh spur of the highway, so the location was quite isolated in every direction, but a very nice facility compared to his old spot by the hospital there. His new building was also pretty far back on the new lot, and my car, a black Jeep Cherokee that we had owned for 2 years, was one of only 4 or 5 cars in the parking lot when we got there. I parked near the front door, removed the kids from their car seats, and for the next hour or so we waited, then saw the doctor, paid, and finally exited back outside. Mine was the only car left in the lot as I loaded the children in their car seats for our trip home, but as the receptionist locked the front glass doors, my car somehow wouldn't start when I turned the key. There was just an odd clicking noise. Gathering the children once again, I knocked on the door until someone allowed us back in and asked to borrow their phone to call a nearby garage for service. I found one in the phone book, and the man said that he would come, but that it might be a bit, so I told him my location, left to go back out to the car, rolled down all the windows, and loaded the children back into their seats once more as we waited. Soon we watched as all the lights were turned out in the building again and everyone left, the cars departing one by one from behind the building somewhere, leaving us now completely alone in the parking lot. As it was still light, I spent a lot of that time trying to tend to the children, digging through our car for snacks and a bottle, making sure that they weren't getting too hot, etc. Although the service station attendant said that it was probably going to be quite a while, I was pleasantly surprised when a truck pulled into the empty parking lot pretty soon and a man got out of his pickup, smiled and nodded to me, and said that he was going to raise the hood. He was a middle-aged and... Whoopsie-dupsie. MVP with a 5 says thank you. Their mother left them, so the youngest has never known his mom, so it's wonderful to be able to fill that role. Absolutely. That's seriously, I mean, to be that for someone is, I think, a very, very important blessing to give to a child, because they really, they just need someone to fill that role. And if you can get there in that appropriate fashion and just be that person, it's on both sides, mother and father, it's very, very good. He was a middle-aged... Why do I keep saying a middle-aged? Sorry. Coconut shrimp for the win. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, brother. He was middle-aged and a bit scruffy, but quite frankly, many gas station attendants sometimes look that way, especially at the end of the day, and I was grateful when he began doing something under the hood almost immediately. I sat down again in the driver's seat with the door open, waiting for him to tell me to try the engine, but he seemed to be taking a long time checking the connections, and I longed for him to just grab jumper cables, yet he never did. Without getting out of the car, I asked him what he thought was wrong, and he said, "Oh, it's just a loose wire, not the battery," and continued doing whatever it was he was doing. I couldn't see his face at all from where I was sitting, and his hands were slightly visible through that long, horizontal slit between the windshield and the raised hood as we waited. More than once, he said that it was merely a loose wire, and if we'll just come up here real quick, just the way, I don't know why people put it in quotes, but they're also like, it's not the dialogue, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? Rim shot, know what I mean? Do you guys remember Ernest P. Worrell? It's like one of my favorite characters growing up, especially the Halloween episode. More than once he said it was merely a loose wire, and if I would just come up here really quick, he could show me which one it was, so it would never happen again. I remember kind of smiling and shaking my head, saying that sadly there was no reason to show me anything, as I didn't know anything about cars. I just thanked him and continued to stay in the driver's seat, again just waiting for the inevitable signal to try to start the ignition that was most surely coming any moment. At one point, I remember thinking that he was definitely flirting as he spoke, but I was trying above all to be polite and kind, as he was indeed helping us. We were hot and tired and miserable, and truthfully, I was distracted with the kids. Oddly enough, he was starting to sound a little frustrated with me, because I wouldn't come up and look at the engine. I remember thinking that I certainly didn't want to make him mad where he left us there all alone, with the sun sinking so quickly. And then the strangest thing happened. Another truck suddenly pulled into that desolate parking lot, and as it did, this nice guy working underneath my hood suddenly slammed it shut, ran to his truck, started it, and drove away very quickly, without even saying a word of goodbye. I was both confused and a little anxious when he did this, because I didn't know who was now arriving. I even remember feeling a little frightened that he had suddenly left me there alone with two little ones defenseless. Stephanie, with the big $20 donation, says thank you for being you. Thank you, Stephanie. You're welcome. I shall continue to exist. Love you as well. Thank you. Thank you. I even remember feeling a little frightened that he had suddenly left me there alone with two little ones completely Why can't I say defenseless? Jesus Christ. I even remember feeling a little frightened that he had suddenly left me there alone with two little ones, defenseless. Why wouldn't he at least stay and speak to whoever was parking next to me now? It certainly seemed suddenly. I always break into slang sometimes. It's so hard. I just gotta, if you want to, read, just get good at, pronouncing every syllable possible. It certainly seemed the southerly gentleman thing to do. I looked around and was very aware once again that there were no visible cars on the road, no homes or businesses nearby, and the sun was continuing to set quickly. At this new, almost unmarked pickup, Someone's got to... I'm making a lot of mistakes out the gate here. You guys got to keep track. Got to keep track. Sunbeam Dream. That's a cool name. Thank you for the buckaroony. 14th Ivy. Your damn voice so smooth. Thank you. Thank you. I even remember feeling a little frightened that he had suddenly left me there alone. Wait, I already fucking read that part. Sorry. God damn it. I guess I have to start over. Start the whole story over again. I even remember feeling a little frightened that he had suddenly left me there alone with two little ones, defenseless. Why wouldn't he at least stay and speak to whoever was parking next to me now? It certainly seemed the southerly gentleman thing to do. I looked around and was very aware once again that there were no visible cars on the road, no homes or businesses nearby, and the sun was continuing to set quickly. As this new, also unmarked pickup pulled in next to me, I got out of the car once again, this time more apprehensively. Upon exiting, though, he immediately introduced himself, and his name and voice seemed to match who I had spoken to on the phone much earlier. He then actually called me by name, apologized for being so late, and finally smiled and started towards the Mistake 57, yeah. That would be a shit ton. Mistake 420. He then actually called me by name, apologized for being so late, and finally smiled and stared towards the road, pointing and asking who the man was that had just left so suddenly. Relieved and unfazed, I just smiled back in surprise and told him, "Well, I don't know. I thought all this time he was... you." And we both laughed slightly as he then grabbed jumper cabers. Jesus Christ. And we both laughed slightly as he then grabbed jumper cables, walked to the front of my car, raised the hood, and started to work. I immediately sat back in the driver's seat once more, suddenly grateful that, with luck, that air conditioner would be blowing full blast shortly, and once again checking the children. While listening for the familiar words, "try it," I had my back completely turned towards the children when he surprised me by suddenly coming to the driver's side door. In the strangest voice, he said, "Ma'am, is this yours?" And when I looked into his hands, he was holding a long, thin, dagger-like looking device that was about 1.5 feet in length. It appeared to be very old and covered with reddish rust, yet on one end it had tiny circular small finger holes, as if it was a mix of a long thin sword and scissors oddly combined. I remember being amazed but not frightened, and I asked where he had found them. "Under the hood," he replied. I said just matter-of-factly that I had never seen them before, but how weird was it that those things had somehow been stuck and undiscovered in my car for all those years? And shook my head in surprise. He continued to stand there and stare at them unbelievingly, and he looked oddly pale too, like he couldn't find the words to speak for a bit, just continuing to stare at the unusual object. Honestly, I didn't care one bit about it. All I could think about was getting the car going, letting me pay him, and leaving. He didn't say anything else, just quickly set them on the curb, started his truck, and then signaled for me to start the Jeep, and when it immediately caught, my 3-year-old cheered. Grateful, I quickly turned on the air conditioner full blast, rolled up all the windows, aimed the air vents back towards the back seat, and reached for my purse to pay out. I stood up and took a few steps to meet him so I could hear the amount now owed. With both of my vehicles running, he came back around to my driver's side, but instead of handing me the bill, irritated me a bit by walking right past me and picking up that weird object once more. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "I want you to look at these one more time," and held them out for closer inspection. This time I moved a bit closer and actually really looked. In his hands, the item still appeared incredibly large, possessing an almost bayonet-looking quality except for the strangely small 2 loops on one end. I had never seen anything like it and told him so. As he held it, He spoke quietly and slowly to me, as if trying desperately to make me understand something that was somehow still going over my head. These weren't hidden somewhere in the engine, ma'am. They hadn't been there a very long time at all, 'cause they were sitting right on top. They must have just been put there. I shook my head no and half smiled as I said, "But they're obviously very old and rusty." To which he pointed more closely and replied, "Yeah, but see how sharp they are? These look like they'd just been sharpened." And when I looked down, he was right. The long, skinny dagger-like shape was unusual, but by far the oddest quality was just how sharp it appeared to be. The edges at the tip where the rust had been removed were gleaming silver. As I paid him, his final words to me were, "Ma'am, I don't know what was about to happen here, but I'm really glad I pulled up when I did." He quietly thanked me when taking the payment, told me that I probably needed to call the police when I got home, and then asked me where I wanted the item. I didn't want to touch it, didn't want to take it at all, but I released the back window so he could place it inside. We both then left the lot together, him turning one way, me turning the other towards the small winding highway that would lead me home, still about an hour away. I did indeed contact the Macon police. The Macon police. Bridget Jones with a 5 says, "Excuse me, sir. Please don't say Jesus Christ. It offends my innocent, pure mind. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Bridget. Never again will I taketh the Lord's name in vaineth. Taketh the Lord's juicy veins in vain. Taketh the Lord's name in artery." I don't know. No, yeah, it's she's making a sarcastic joke from the last stream because somebody was giving me shit about saying Jesus Christos. Making bacon, baby. I did indeed contact the Macon police the moment that we arrived home and I got the children inside safely. But although they listened politely, they declined when I offered to bring the scissor-like thing to them later. The officer I spoke to said that they sounded as if though they were specialized surgical shears, from my description and measurements on the phone, which I found quite disturbing, as you can imagine. I remember wondering how he would even know that, why he would say that. I had tried so carefully not to touch any of the surfaces, hoping that they might be able to lift prints or test it for blood if they wanted. But the story seemed to bore him a bit, and he didn't seem interested. His attitude insinuated that, as there were no longer an emergency, it was of no importance now. At the very end of the call, as if to wind things up, he did say that it sounded as if though I was very lucky and that I might want to keep the shears for a few days, just in case someone from his office got back with me later. But that was all. I wrapped them carefully in newspaper and placed them in the brick storage unit behind our house, and there they remained for several more years, untouched, until we moved away, and I finally, not wanting to bring them across several states, reluctantly threw them in the trash. Around that time, though, if you look through old news reports, women were going missing all over Georgia. Some bodies were eventually found, but others remain missing to this very day. I have often wondered what would have happened if the service station attendant hadn't arrived when he did. If my children would still have a mother, if I would still have my son and daughter, if I would have missed all those years with them. I guess I'll never know. But I learned something very important about myself that day. I had always felt that I was pretty aware of my surroundings, pretty good at reading people and staying safe. But because I was exhausted and tired and hot and stranded in a different city, my common sense and intelligence simply left me for a bit and wasn't working at that time. And many of my friends and family still think that our car trouble that day and my lack of awareness could have easily have cost us our lives. Whoa, Joel, that was kind of a spooky way to end the story. Well, Kashi with a 21 Canadian maple syrup dollar beaver bucks says, "Take my name in vain. Take me! Take me!" Thank you, Kashi, for the beaver buckaroons. Also, that story is interesting because, like, how would that guy have known? Honestly, that guy would have had to have caused. I'm just confused. Because did they say, correct me if I'm wrong, but did they say that the guy who was actually the attendant just did jumper cables for her car to get it going again? Because, like, either this dude would have had to have been the most perfectly timed opportunist of all time to just kind of like, oh, a woman seems to be stranded in this parking lot with her 2 children, awaiting most likely someone for mechanical assistance with the automobile. I better stroll in with my surgical shears and slice her throat. Which is certainly a possibility, but I feel like it would be more likely that the individual would have premeditated this, you know what I mean? Because it certainly doesn't seem like something you stumble across, but how do you premeditate or kind of cause a car's battery to lose battery? Like, is that possible? Like, to, while everyone's inside, like, do something to their car to make it lose charge on the battery? I don't know. Just seems kind of rando, but still creepy nonetheless. Especially if there was other women that were going missing in the state of Georgia. Stephanie with a 10. Thank you. You're welcome, Stephanie. Thank you for the 10. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. My talking voice is as great as GM Danielson, another horror narrator. Yes, I do know GM. He used to come in here quite a bit. I hope he's still doing okay. I feel like I used to hear from him from time to time just to kind of chit-chat over Twitter and stuff, but I've not seen the good fella in quite a while. He's probably hibernating in his castle somewhere. Skull, good night. Sleep well. Also, Atlanta is the most well-known trafficking city, which isn't far away. Yeah, that would be terrifying. Jeepers Creepers is a good movie. Yeah, Jeepers Creepers 1 was definitely good. Jeepers Creepers 2, not a huge fan of the bus, but I watched it. And I remember, like, yeah, when I watched Jeepers Creepers 2, I remember going into, like, all of the extra features and, like, watching literally everything. And it, I don't know, I was, like, so interested in who the Jeepers Creeper guy was. And then I heard the director say that, like, if I had to think of, like, a reason of who he was, I would probably say he was some sort of, oh shit, make it clap, make it clap. Sorry. Stephanie, oh my god, with the 50 buckaroo says, hey, you've made my job so much easier. I listen to you every day. It makes my day go by so fast. Please keep it coming. Thank you, Stephanie. I shall keep coming non-stop. Thank you for the 50. You guys really catch me off guard with some of those, and sometimes it doesn't, like, activate till, like, after, so I'm always like, oh shit. Whatever random thing I'm talking about, doesn't matter. It's time to twerk. Time to twerk. Yeah, Justin Long. Yeah, Justin Long is a good-looking dude. It was weird. I feel like Justin Long's career was kind of like this strange thing where, like, he was young and he did a great job being within those sort of young roles, but then he sort of got into, like, he got older, but he never sort of, like, developed into what I would consider, like, a conventional Hollywood, like, male, you know what I mean? Like, as far as, like, a masculine figure that they might have a use for, I suppose. So as he ate, let's see, how old is Justin Long? Justin Long. He is, oh wow, he was born in 78. So Justin Long is 42, right? Yeah, so he's just kind of like one of those guys that just, like, perpetually looks fucking young as shit, which is pretty badass. Dude, is Justin Long ripped though? That's what I want to know. Like, is he jacked? I don't know why I typed in jacked, but well, yeah, he definitely looks like he's in shape. That would have been hilarious. Was Justin Long wasn't in 300, was he? I feel like there was this random actor that was in 300 who got his head chopped off. Do you remember that guy? Who kind of looked like Justin Long. He was like the younger son of one of the generals or some shit, and the general like was in a bloodlust, after his son's head got chopped off. But secretly, I'm hoping that Justin Long is a jacked mofo. I don't know why. I just think we really need to get him back in some more movies as the man with the plan. Though he's just got a young baby face, so it's hard for people to take that seriously sometimes. You know what I mean? Steve Harrington with the 5 says, I'm not flush with cash, but so happy to be here for the live stream. Say Jesus all you want. That's on you, not me, but practice your Hail Marys. Practice my long balls. I've been throwing the pigskin with Dad lately, so my Hail Marys are getting pretty flush. Thank you so much, Steve, for the 5. How long is Justin Long? Now that's the question. I don't know. Must be sick, though. 42 and, like, look like you're fucking late 20s. Like, Paul Rudd. Oh, Paul Rudd, yeah. See, Paul Rudd, like, I know he's, like, a comedic fella, but, like, Paul Rudd's just got one of those faces where he doesn't age, but he also, like, has aged just at the, or, like, almost as if though he's like a Pokemon and he's evolved. Well, not necessarily that, because that's a big change, but he's expanded slightly, I feel like, in the sort of growth department, and he definitely looks like a man, you know what I mean? But for the most part, Paul Rudd has always been sort of a comedic figure, and so when he fills those roles in the Hollywood scene, he definitely does a good job with that, I imagine. Paul Rudd, yeah, he's an amazing person. He must be drinking kids' blood or something like that, because he doesn't age at all. But I mean, that's Hollywood, so I'm sure they've all got like a dietitian and personal trainer and fluffer all on speed dial or like living in their house with them. But yeah, Paul Rudd. My first experience with Paul Rudd was whenever I was watching Anchorman, and he's like works 60% of the time every time or something like that, and I don't know. He was just an amazing support role. Paul Rudd in Clueless, nice. I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've ever really seen it. But it's crazy because, yeah, even back then. Also, I love, like, yeah, Reddit always talks about, like, Paul Rudd. It's always, how, like, Reddit, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Reddit, but I like, and I don't mind it because sometimes it's usually, like, an endearing thing, like, but they always, like, repost content all the time, like, every couple of months, you'll see a top video on stupid fucking Reddit about like how Paul Rudd plays practical joke on Conan O'Brien by playing the same clip, where it's like that clip of the kid like in a wheelchair, but he like his brakes break and he starts to like go down a hill and go off of a cliff, and then at the end it shows the alien's head like, wow, what happened, And Paul Rudd, I guess, always plays that clip during Conan O'Brien, like as if though it's going to be a clip from his movie, but then, yeah, I don't know, gets him every time or some shit. But it is pretty hilarious, just like such a random thing. Like Jazz Festy Z with the 2 says, please say hi to my wife Isabella. She loves you. Hi, Isabella. Hope you're doing good. Hope you guys are loving each other tonight. Yeah. Human Centipede is such a gross concept. I can't get past it. Yeah, but I just feel like it's like the natural Mac and Me. That's what it was, the movie. I just feel like Human Centipede is the natural progression of human evolution. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you want to be the middle person? You don't even have to worry about chewing your food. You just poop into somebody else's mouth. Easy peasy, dude.
Hey, listen.
Nicole, thank you. The McDonald's movie. Cillian Murphy, yeah, I remember Cillian Murphy. My first experience with him was in my first experience with Cillian Murphy was in what the hell was it, the movie, 28 Days Later, and just always remember that scene. He's like, hello, anyone there? Hello. I wonder how hard it is to get the London Bridge to be like abandoned. I guess because they film there, they just kind of shut it down for a day and everybody fucks off somewhere else for a bit. Sean Boyda with a 5 says, hey, it's Kelly and Sean from Detroit. Love listening to your stream. Just wanted to say you're awesome. Hey, thank you. Hope everything's going well in Detroit. Detroit Become Human has just come on to Steam, so I don't know if anybody's playing that, but maybe I should just read a story, huh? Now, before you bite my head off, yes, I know I posted this story. Oh, no, maybe. A reason for reposting, blah, 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 I posted that. Please note, although, okay, yeah, I'm just trying to see where this story actually starts. So back in 2007, I found myself working as a bartender at a now closed pub in my hometown. Not a job I particularly liked, but it paid the bills. At this time, they hired a new kitchen manager that we all simply knew as Kearney. Kearney was a pleasant enough man, mostly keeping to himself, but also stayed late to help the barman do our closing duties, so we all liked him for that. New in town, Kearney had yet to find a place of permanent residence, and I had recently lost my tenants, so someone suggested he ask me. He was considerably older than the tenants I usually took in, but having had a streak of bad luck with tenants my own age, I thought an older man with a nice steady job may be a shift in the right direction, so I agreed. Kearney wasted no time and followed me home that very same night. Only, he wasn't alone. Enter Lawrence, the boyfriend of Kearney. Honestly, I hadn't even realized he was gay up until that point, but was water off my back regardless. And looking back, what really should have bothered me, though, was Lawrence's appearance. He looked like he had been sleeping on the street. Rather more appropriately, as I would later find out. So Kearney moved in. Lawrence was there a lot too, and it was easy to know when, due to his Lawrence was there a lot too, and it was easy to know when, due to his mobile ringtone sounding like the quacking of a duckling. Kearney had some habits that were rather noteworthy to the story in particular. One, he basically never closed his bedroom door. No matter what he was doing in there, it was always open, and two, although he was a very heavy smoker, he never once smoked inside the house. So Kearney had been living there for about 2 weeks when I had come down with an awful case of pink eye. This being highly contagious, I was given leave of absence for my bartending job and therefore decided to go wait it out at my sister's for a few days. Apparently, I didn't mind giving it to her. Sorry, sis. So the day my sister was scheduled to come pick me up, no, I couldn't drive yet, I took a casual stroll into the bar that myself and Ben, my good friend from high school, and at the time co-worker, had been building in my house, and something caught my eye. All our liquor bottles were completely empty. Now, those who have been frequenting my house at that time would know that we weren't just talking about 1 or 2 bottles of brandy here, but bottles of whiskey, gin, vodka, schnapps, liqueurs. Basically, it was a fully stocked bar that could host a pretty big party without requiring much in the way of additions. So I called Kearney in, asking him what he knew about this, receiving feedback that Lawrence and he had been on a slight drinking binge. Slight drinking binge. Pink eye. His eyes are so pink. Keanu has experienced so much tragedies, poor guy. I hope he's happy. Very nice guy. Yeah, shit. That sucks. Fuck. Did he write John Wick? Because it almost sounds like it almost seems as if though he's gone through that kind of stuff. And you know what's crazy? Is that I think, wasn't it up until John Wick essentially, Keanu was sort of looked at, I guess, as a bit of a meme. And that's without knowing any of his backstory and all that kind of stuff. But I remember for a while, wasn't there a meme going around years ago of sad Keanu, where he would be sitting on a bench or something and he was very sad and people kind of just made fun of him because, oh, it's that guy from Bill and Ted's and, it's Neo from The Matrix. Even though The Matrix was pretty badass, everybody kind of relatively considered the second and third one to be not that great and the acting to be subpar kind of thing. And then I feel as if though Keanu made a massive public relations comeback, I would say, through John Wick, Horny Keanu. Oh, Keanu just got married. Well, I think in his past he may have had some issues, but yeah, John Wick does rule, though. I think everybody was just kind of waiting for a John Wick movie. I mean, a lot of people like the Jason Bourne series. I didn't see the Jason Bourne that they like the follow-up one that they did with Mark Wahlberg. I really do like Mark Wahlberg when he's in like a serious movie, but I could never in my goddamn life imagine him being a serious like Jason Bourne. Holy shit, it's Jason Bourne. But yeah, as time went on and people became more interested in him because of John Wick, I think we come to find out that Keanu is, in fact, kind of a god amongst humans. Jason Bourne, again. Jason Born Again Christian. So I called in Kearney, asking him what he knew about this, receiving feedback that Lawrence and he had been on a slight drinking binge. Those were the actual words he used. That had left me both furious about the thousands of dollars worth of stock that he had drunk out, but also slightly impressed that he was actually still alive. Regardless, I said that I will be dealing with this upon my return. So I'm with my sister for a few days, and on Friday I get a call from my local police department asking me if I know a Conrad Schultz. Ironically enough, I didn't. They finally add that I will probably know him as Kearney, and that I should probably come down to the station as they had just arrested his boyfriend trying to sell my camera equipment. So my sister rushes me back home where all my camera equipment was on display at the police station. It's on this visit that I'm informed that Lawrence was actually a Navy SEAL who got dishonorably discharged before turning to a life of crime and now had a rap sheet the length of the Bible. The kicker was that both he and Kearney were actually homeless men who had met at the Salvation Army. So Lawrence is in jail, and my sister drops me off at home, more or less the same time that Kearney gets home as well. Based on Kearney's account of what had happened, he had turned Lawrence in himself, as he couldn't allow Lawrence to do to me what he was trying to do. Although I had appreciated his sacrifice, I still told Kearney that he would have to go, having been the overall cause of all this. However, not wanting to leave the homeless man, well, homeless, I gave him until the end of the month to make other arrangements. So Monday comes, and having just completed staff meeting, I walk home to encounter a very much free Lawrence sitting on the sidewalk across my house, watching it. I confront Lawrence as to why he's there, and he tries to apologize before begging for money, rather out of character, really. Rather out of character, really. I dismissed him without giving him a cent. Now I go back to the previous night. See, I had mentioned the staff meeting for a reason, as it was at that meeting where he had gotten a rather sizable list of liquor bottles that had gone missing from the storeroom, leaving us all suspecting each other. I, however, would not have to wait long to figure out who the real culprit was, as a few days later, I opened the garbage bin in my kitchen to see the missing bottles, all empty and staring back at me. I decided to sit on this information for the time being, although I did photograph it just in case I needed it as evidence later. I had also called over Ben to inform him of the... Dude, I'm like... fumbling on my words here. Sorry, folks. I gotta lube my lips. Yos, we're blessed as fuck. Hell yeah. Also, click that like button, share the stream out if that's even possible, if you got one of them social media accounts. Supposedly, YouTube likes it when you do that. Rumor has it, man, that they like it when you share. I'm not gonna freak out. Stephanie with the 10 says, going to bed. Can't wait to hear this tomorrow. Good night. Thank you, Stephanie. Sleep well. Thank you so much. I do really appreciate that. Jesus is here even though we don't see him. Is he hiding again? Come out, Jesus. We can smell you. You've been walking around in sandals all week. Those feet need washed. I decided, okay. I decided to sit on this information for the time being, although I did photograph it, just in case I needed it as evidence later. I had also called over Ben to inform him of the developments. As this was quickly becoming a detective game, we decided to enter Kearney's room to search for further evidence. Nothing of vast significance in there, with one exception: 2 single photographs of Lawrence, before he had turned into the homeless version of Lex Luthor or Charles Xavier. Actually, there were several of Lawrence's things still there, but as Lawrence had spent a lot of time there before the incident, I accepted this as normal. Now, I should also add that I had mentioned Lawrence's release to Kearney and had told him that if I even suspected that they were still seeing each other, I would throw him out of the house myself. Only a few days would pass before this came into play. On this particular night, I had been bartending again, and Kearney had constantly been stopping by the bar to help himself to draught glasses. Draught glasses, draft. Probably draft, right? Draft. Why is it spelled with a... If we're... maybe... Wait, Navy SEALs, that's an American thing, so... Why would he spell it D-R-A-U-G-H-T? Unless that's just like a beer snob thing, I don't really know. Hey, Cassandra with a 5 says, is there any drinks you like to have during the summertime? By the way, I love you lots. Well, I do enjoy a nice spritzer from time to time. Yeah, man, there was like this particular drink. It was almost like an alcoholic, almost like a Blue Moon, but I feel as if though it was like tastier and had a picture of a trout on it or some shit, some hipster crap. But I'm not much of a drinker, so I never remember any of the shit. But I remember I was thinking man, it'd be sick to just go tubing and just drink this entire fucking case, even though I'd never drink. But something about tubing and drinking I can get down with, I told you guys we went kayaking this past Saturday, and man, it's such a pleasant experience, as long as you're not going through white rapids, you know what I mean? Yeah, Jesus and the devil are going head to head. Head to head. On this particular night, I had been bartending again, and Kearney had constantly been stopping by to help himself to draft glasses half full of wine and half full of Coke, which he would go drink outside the restaurant. We confronted him about this, but as he correctly pointed out, he was still a manager and we had no right to tell him what he could or could not do. On his 4th trip, however, I had grown suspicious and decided to follow him outside, where I encountered Lawrence sitting outside sharing the half-Coke, half-wine concoctions with Kearney. This made me livid, so the next day I returned to the restaurant with my photographic evidence that I had handed over to the general manager, who was also kind of a friend of mine. Although I hadn't physically seen it, I had heard the confrontation through the office door when he fired Kearney. Kearney left, obviously upset, and apparently had no idea that I had been the one who turned him in. So, we had closed early that night, and I was walking home, going past the high school. I saw Kearney coming from the opposite direction. He walked past me, literally only saying 2 words, "I'm scared," before disappearing into the darkness. And that would be the last time that I would ever physically lay my eyes on Conrad Schultz. So we reached the final week before Kearney's eviction was to take place. Ben had come to stay with me for that duration, as we both wanted to monitor the situation and make sure that nothing else happens. It was in this week that Kearney's behavior suddenly changed. He was constantly smoking in his room and his door was closed 24/7. In fact, neither Ben nor I had caught so much as a peek of him in that entire last week, which we hadn't thought much of at that time. So the day of Kearney's eviction comes around. Ben had gone home for a few hours, and I finally hear Kearney's bedroom's door open. Someone walks out of the room, opens the front door, and leaves. I follow him outside, but somehow he had already completely disappeared. What was left, though, was his house keys, indicating that he obviously wasn't planning coming back. I took a look at the keys, noticing something strange. Although the Fuck. Sometimes you just like fall down a rabbit hole full of mispronunciation. Can't cut it with a tonic water or mineral water. It can be quite sweet, that's true. Especially if it has aspartame in it, which is the artificial sweetener. Artificial sweetener, darling. Paula. Paulinhita Paula. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right there. And I feel like you told me how to pronounce it before, so I apologize if I F that up. But thank you so much for the donut. It says, hey Joel, finally able to give even a little bit. Heart you. No, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And like I said, guys, if ever you feel as a, obviously donations are never mandatory at all. I most likely will also see your messages even if you at me, you know what I mean, like in the chat. And because obviously if you got, other things going on in your life that are better for you to focus your resources on, please do. But either way, thank you guys so much for that. Leslie says, what about your question? What was your question, Leslie? Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Unless you're talking to somebody else. Unless you donated and I missed it? I'm so sorry, guys. Sometimes I like reading the story, missing the chat, miss somebody's question. But, yeah. Oh, thank you. I love you as well. Hi. El Galito says, hi, Joe. I've been a fan for a long time. Shout out, my bro. Thank you, El. Thank you, El. I took a look at the keys, noticing something strange. Although the correct keys were on all the keychain, oh, I see. Although all the correct keys were all on the keychain, there were also several that weren't mine. Why would he leave me the wrong keys? I remember myself thinking as I walked into this room. Fuck. Sorry, that just sounded strange. I took a look at the keys, noticing something strange. Although the correct keys were all on the keychain, there were also several that weren't mine. Why would he leave me the wrong keys? I remember thinking to myself as I walked into his room. His room was a shock, not because of the state that it was in. The two had broken his bed in an act of... Oh my god, that's really funny. This is what they said. The two had broken his bed in an act of wild monkey sex, but I had known about that already. As I said, he never closed his damn door. Jesus Christ. Can't read that, but that's actually pretty hilarious. Oh my god. What should I say instead? Maybe nothing. Or like, what's the like wild monkey love making? Wild monkey love? Is that a good thing to say? Maybe just skip over that part. His room was in a shock, not because of the state that it was in. The two had broken his bed in an act of wild monkey love, but I had known about that already. As I said, he never closed his freaking door. But more that he had already literally left all of his belongings behind, with one exception. You guessed it, the two photos of Lawrence. Upon further investigation, I suddenly realized that all traces of Lawrence ever being there had completely vanished, with all of Kearney's stuff left behind. There was one thing of Lawrence left behind, though, his duckling ringtone, which it turned out hadn't been so much a ringtone as an actual duckling, which now strolled around casually in the vacant bedroom, and we named him Neville. So Ben returns and gets updated about the developments, both of us thinking the way he left was rather weird, of course. The whole thing had been weird. Sorry. How do we join Discord? Yeah, is any mods here to... Cashy, can you link the Discord, perhaps? Perhaps, and let people in, open the doors, enter in through the narrow way. So Ben returns and updates his... Holy shit, this guy had a duck in his room the whole time. That's fucking hilarious. Kind of enjoy people who are just nuts. They're like, I'm just gonna smoke in my room, and I'm gonna have a little fucking duck, and I did not give a shit. I'm gonna steal shit. I guess, you know, that's the mind of an addict, I suppose. Not all of them, of course, not all of them. Ron with the 10 buckaroo says, my best friend's grandma passed away this evening. I know he's listening to your stream currently. Would you send him some kind words? He loves your channel, and I think hearing from you might help. Oh. Well, I'm sorry, Ron's best friend, about your grandmother. I know we all kind of have our time is limited here on Earth, but I hope you got to spend many a night and day with building that relationship, and the best thing to do now is just to cherish that memory and continue to make those relationships that she had demonstrated to you with others, you know. Sean with the 5 says, curious, who's your favorite creepypasta narrator besides you, of course? Well, I really like Lazy Masquerade's voice. I don't know what it is. Like, there's something about, like, his presentation. It might just be the British accent that sort of just draws me in. Like, it feels very mysterious, you know, like the ambience, including, like, the music and, like, the recording device that he uses. I enjoy that a lot. I really like people, though there was one, his name was Night Terrors. He was only around for a while, but he was an older gentleman whose voice was just a booming bass voice, you know, but it was just, he wrote all of his, like, creepypasta stories, like, were amateur horror fiction, and they were just like a slow burn, as I've said before, and, you know, definitely good for falling asleep too. They just kind of take you somewhere. I really like Mr. X Dreams. Greetings, friends. Greetings, friends. Greetings, dreamers. It's me. 'Tis I, Mr. X Dreams. I think Mr. Davis's voice is really relaxing. If you've heard of him. There's so many good ones, really. But at the same time, I don't listen to too many of them too often to kind of, like, determine. Yes, Dr. Creepin is very good. Hey, Colin, what's up, dog? Yeah, Dr. Creepin is right there amidst the best. Yeah, and B-Busta with the Aussie accent. Good eye, mate. Good eye, mate. Follow me on YouTube. Blue Spooky. I can't actually remember Blue Spooky's voice, to be honest. I could try to recall. I've worked with him in the past, but I can't quite recall his accent. Mommy of 3 boys with the 4 says, don't know if you realize this story is a repeat. I don't think it is, honestly, my friend. I apologize. Maybe it's, unless it's like years old. Well, which they did say that. Let's see, when was the time? I don't recall reading the story. Normally, like, especially as I'm reading it, let's see. So, new owner wants us to carry garbage bags to a crowded restaurant. Okay, you're the boss. Rich groom. Wait, I took advantage. My boss was homeless 10 months ago. So 10 months ago was only, and then he reposted about a month ago. So and he even said, like, it was a repost, but I guess he gives proof or some shit. But it doesn't appear as if though I've clicked on his link prior. You may have heard it on. You may have heard it on another channel, perhaps, because I'm usually pretty good at, like, recalling, you know, shit that I've heard. Like, I start to feel like kind of an inclination, like, wait, what? Oh, wait. Geo Legend, you there, bro? I'm here, my dude. I thought you scared me for a second. I thought I was getting cut out again. Mommy of 3 boys, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you for the 4. Says I don't mind. Just want to let you know. Yeah, I don't recall reading it, but, you know, I could be wrong. I don't know. The first one was a repeat? I don't think these are repeats, at least not for me. Like you may like they've been around in the Reddit circuit a while, and like sometimes I have a list of ones that I've gotten permission for that are like, kind of ancient that I haven't gotten to yet. So I'm usually pretty good at like, because I don't really listen to stories on other people's channels, and I don't really read these stories too much to kind of like muddy my memory, if you know what I mean. So I do not. Normally, what happens is there's a certain sensation I feel within my brain that like indicates to me like, oh, this sounds familiar. Like, and that usually only takes like a few paragraphs before the like, the memory comes back, and didn't feel it with these two. I don't know. They are repeats. That's what? Maybe it's the aspartame of my Diet Dr. Pepper flowing through my synapses, but I swear to God, these past two I have not read. Who are the mods? I think Cashie's here modding. Do I ever listen to my own videos to sleep? I listened to a paranormal story once to fall asleep, and it freaked me out, and I was like, why the fuck do people listen to this shit? This is scary. Lex, you're getting bored. Hey, you're welcome to get bored. Being bored just means that perhaps there's something better to do. Could be a different narrator. Yeah, I think, I really do think it had to have been that, but either way. Just gonna keep moving on, because I'm not feeling that vibe that blame the diet, Dr. Pepper. Yeah, shit, man. I really don't know. Am I into cars or bikes? I don't. No, I'm not really into cars or bikes. I just enjoy the fact that they get me to point A to point B. Though I do sometimes see a cool one, I'm like, whoa, this is a cool car. That's pretty sweet. So Ben returns and gets updated about the developments, both of us thinking the way he left was rather weird, of course. The whole thing had been weird. Sorry, just the way that's phrased sounds strange. So Ben returns and gets updated about the developments, both of us thinking the way that he left was rather weird. Of course, the whole thing had been weird. It was only when I asked the infamous question that this all became a conspiracy theory. Did you ever actually see Kearney in this last week? It was to our shock that we realized that neither of us had. Suddenly putting puzzle pieces together, the changing habits, Neville the duck, the wrong keys, only Lawrence's stuff being gone. It was to great discomfort that we both asked the question, who had really been living in our house this past week? During the next few days, Ben and I went on a mission, searching the town, crawling into drain pipes, trying to find any trace of Kearney's whereabouts, but they all added up to nothing. Conrad Schultz had simply vanished off the face of the earth. That wasn't the case with Lawrence, though. No, he was still around. Having made some new homeless friends, we encountered him several times begging on the streets. I asked him every time, "Hey, where's Kearney, Lawrence?" But he just acted like he had never heard of him. The last time I would see Lawrence was across from work, attempting to break into a car. I called the police on him, and they had arrived rather quickly, arresting him on the spot. While he was being led away by the police, I shouted after him one last time, "Where's Kearney, Lawrence?" But he just ignored me and let the cops drag him away. The next day I filed a police report reporting for duty, sir. Let me just finish this last paragraph real quick. The next day I filed a police report reporting Kearney as a missing person and suggesting that Lawrence may know something about it, but nothing ever came of it. So Lawrence, I don't know if you did something to Kearney or not, but if you did, please never show your face around my house again. Mannequin of Chaos, what is up with the 5 buckaroonies? Hello, hello. Dropping the mic, hell yeah. Hell yeah. And Colin, what's up, Colin? With the 20 beaver bucks from Canadia says bread. Let's get it, baby. Thank you so much. I'm like a duck. I'm like a duck pond, and you're just making it rain on me. Honestly, in a lot of ways, ducks, as you drop breadcrumbs into a duck pond, they are kind of like strippers, I suppose, and you're just making it rain on them in their duck currency. Kearney doesn't have... Yeah, guys, we need to hashtag find Kearney. Find Kearney. Not to be mistaken with Kermie, the frog. Isn't that sad to think, like, you were a fucking Navy SEAL? A Navy SEAL, like the pinnacle of, you know, military athleticism. I don't know if that's true or not, but I like to imagine, because I used to play SOCOM back in the day and watch some of those Buds training movies or whatever. But, I mean, it was pretty hard to get into, you know what I mean? And then your life devolved into homelessness. And, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, he did own a little ducky, which is cute. So that could be kind of something to lean on. But duckies can only get you so far. Maybe they swam together because, you know, Navy SEALs do swim. My fursona is a duck. It is not. I've said many times, and I really hope people start remembering, my fursona is a slug. I drag my slime everywhere I go around the conventions. Who is a Navy SEAL? You are, Brazzer. You are. Can we submit true stories of ours? If so, where? I have two that happened 2 days apart from each other, and they haunt me to this day because I don't know what could justify what happened. Yeah, so hey ho, you want to submit that to reddit.com/r/let'sreadofficial or let'sreadsubmissions@gmail.com. That's all linked below. You can find that. Making a Reddit account is rather easy, quick and painless, I promise. It would mean a lot if you checked out the story, brother, via Reddit. I shall give it a whirl. Sometimes, basically, what happens is on my personal subreddit is I kind of just go in the day of and sort by the most popular ones and hope that they're not, you know, astroturfed or complete dog shite. But most of the time, you guys put out some pretty solid content, my dudes. Is Joel Juice steroids? Not that I know of. I doth not take steroids. Emily with the 5 says thank you for the effort you put in for us. You're welcome, Emily. Thank you. Much love to you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And Meredith Williams with the $2 says, Joel, you're breaking Gio's heart. Find a story. I'm sorry, Gio. I don't mean to break your heart. So just gonna walk around in high heels. Guys, I'm in high heels right now as I stand at my standing desk, and Gio's heart is directly under my right foot. I'm just kind of like squinching it as blood is pouring out of his aorta. Just kidding. I will find that story, Gio. I can guarantee you, if it's not the worst grammar story of all time, I can guarantee you it will be on the next video. And when I say guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you I will probably forget, and therefore you will have to remind me. But definitely within a week or two, I'll be doing another subscriber submissions video, so be sure to give me a little bit of a nudge. But not so much of a nudge that I fall off a cliff, because that's not so good. My kimono sona is original species badassite dog, deer, tiger, Chinese dragon hybrid. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. That's what I've been saying for years. Shit. You found out that you had ADD today. Any other Buttersock cultists with that? Wonder how they... Yeah, how do they go about... How do they go about diagnosing things of that nature? I certainly can be all over the place, but I'm sure ADD has a different process of diagnoses that I've not otherwise kind of met the criteria, I suppose. Cashy says Joel Juice is about to be bottled and sold for $30 a pop. Courtesy of me, I will take the L for the rest of you. It's going to be a very intense experience collecting the juice. Okay, anyways. When I was 16, I would nanny for two boys, Brandon, who was 8, and Randy, who was 15. Randy had mental health problems because he was born with liquid in his brain or something. Either way, he was a sweetheart, but you could tell something was off by the way he walked and moved his hands. They had a dog, Gunner, that was an Akita and Yellow Lab mix. This dog was huge and protective. I watched the kids every other week, all day, Monday through Friday. Gunner watched everything I did the first week. I had to gain this dog's trust. That first week the dog made me uneasy because if I was with the kids and they started being loud and rambunctious, he would get between me and the boys and start growling. Even if I wasn't playing with them and happened to be near them, Gunner learned to trust me really quick, though. There were 2 times that Gunner actually saved our lives. Story 1. The boys lived in a rough neighborhood. Not scary, just rough around the edges. We went for a walk to the playground a couple of blocks away, and a white van slows down behind us. There was a bunch of ghetto guys yelling at us from the window, saying inappropriate things to me, a female, and calling Randy horrible names about his condition. "Just ignore them, guys," I said in a hushed voice as I shifted and put myself and Gunner between the kids. Gunner didn't take his eyes off the van full of them. The tension pulled the fur on his back straight up, signaling to us that he was in protective mode. As the men kept yelling at us, I pulled my phone out and started dialing 911, but I didn't hit send before Brandon started yelling back, defending his brother. Then everything happened so fast. The slider back door to the van opened and 2 men jumped out. "Run!" I remember screaming at the boys just as Gunner ripped himself free from my grip on his leash. Everyone started running but me. The boys sprinted home, the dog sprinted towards the van, and I frantically tried dialing 911. Gunner chased the men back in the van, nearly grabbing the leg of one man, and they sped off. Gunner received a lot of treats and praises when we returned home. And story 2, and this one really freaks me out. I was allowed to have friends stop by since I practically lived there, and the boys liked hanging out with my wholesome teenage friends. If it was a male, though, I'd have to go outside and hug them where Gunner could see and talk to them for a few minutes on the porch. Gunner would... Oh, I see. I don't know why I said asses. Gunner would asses them, but it's assess. Trying to assess the asses. Cassandra, with the 2, says, would you rather give up memes or horror stories? Oh, shit. Well, I guess in this scenario, I kind of need horror stories for my livelihood on YouTube here, but if I could keep doing because my consumption of horror stories as an own personal hobby is not the same as my consumption for horror stories as my job with you guys and being a streamer and being a YouTuber and all that kind of stuff, podcast, blah blah blah. But I guess I'd have to give up memes, but that would be a sad day. Memes are kind of life, though I haven't really found a way to make memes my existence yet, so definitely guess I'd have to give up memes if it meant maintaining YouTube. So fuck, man, that's shit. I might not be long for this world if that's the question. These are the real questions. Judith with the 549 says, good morning, I'm off for an early start this morning. Gonna be hot out here today, and it's my birthday to Judith. Happy freaking birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Judith. Enjoy your morning. I'm glad you got an early start on your birthday. That is a good way to start. Hopefully you stay nice and hydrated. Don't protect yourself from that pesky UV light. And I hope you get to do something that you really love doing on your birthday, whether that's going to a restaurant of your liking or get to spend it with some loved ones, whatever that might be. I hope you get to do it. And I hope what you love doesn't involve any sort of, robbing of banks or home invasions or anything like that. But outside of those 2 things, I hope you get it done, baby. Baby girl. Happy Pop Out Day, yeah. If it was a male, though, I'd have to go outside and hug them where Gunnar could see and talk to them for a few minutes on the porch. Gunnar would assess them. Normally he let them inside without trouble after that, but there was one friend he wouldn't let inside without coaxing. Gunnar would never bite anyone unless actually attacked, just for context. One day a man came to the door, knocked and said he had to drop something off for their mom who was supposedly expecting it. We could see through the window that he seemed like a gentleman and was very nice, but as I approached the door, Gunnar cut me off. He started barking at the door insanely. His back stood higher than my hips, and at the time I was a small girl, and the dog just forced me back. Gunnar literally prevented me from being able to reach the doorknob. He was gentle with me, but forceful. I yelled back to the guy to leave whatever was on the porch, but he seemed insistent, saying things like, "Can you really not just unlock the door for a minute? Come on, Randy knows me." But I had to tell him I physically couldn't get past the door so I could call the mom for him. The man got weird and was like, "No, that's not necessary, I'll come back another time," and rushed off. Anyway, the guy had some distinct features when I described him to the mom later, and she informed me that she had no idea who he was, and that she wasn't expecting anything. We never found out who he was, and thankfully, he never came back. So, thank you, Gunnar. You're a lifesaver. You're a literal candy, Gunnar. Dude, dogs are fucking badass, dude. Like, especially dude, I feel like an Akita and a golden retriever mixed together is like the perfect mix, because Akitas are actually very, very, from what I hear, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but apparently they're very, very aggressive, and they pretty much only choose like one person to protect, because from what I hear is that Akitas were sort of bred with royalty, whether that's in Japan or China, I'm not really sure, but like Asian royalty was, they would utilize these dogs as being like their personal guardians that they would watch over, and these dogs were apparently very, very aggressive to pretty much anyone, even within their immediate family, getting close to that individual. So it can kind of be precarious at times, but golden retrievers are like the opposite as far as like on the niceness scale. And can you imagine like putting them both together where it's like nice to pretty much your whole family and those it trusts, but it's also like super strong and protective? That would be kind of a badass mix. Good morning, Jay Wilson. Can't tell if it's late or morning. Scump says, I have 2 American bullies. They are so muscular and they make me feel so safe. That's awesome. Oh shit, 666 people in chat. Booga booga booga. Oh. Booga. Did we ever determine what 666 actually meant? Because I remember we talked about it briefly before, and it had something to do with like the number of, like, it wasn't necessarily the devil. It was like in the Bible it had something to do with Nero or something like that, where like Nero essentially was like the embodiment or the sort of carnal representation of anti-Christian or anti-Christians, and therefore like would murder Christians or something of that nature back then and in that geographical location. I don't know. I obviously could be very wrong in there, but I don't know if anybody is. I mean, I know it's like the number of the beast or whatever. I get that, but like within the context, you know what I mean, of the Bible, 666 means octopus. Holy shit, dude. It was Cthulhu the whole time. Sex, sex, sex. No, yeah, that's the question. Yeah, and 777, like the 777s was like a holy number or something. I don't remember. The beast. I don't know. Oh, I know, like in the musical and like in like, you know, media and stuff, it's like 666 is the number of the beast, but like I think the beast ends up, yeah, Nero equals de Blasio. That's funny. But like it, I don't know, it's like, yeah, something like, I guess if that's the case, then the beast would have to be some sort of overruling government that oppresses its people, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If anybody can look that up, that would be quite dandy. Well, I get that it's the number of the beast in the Revelations, but like, what does it represent? You know, what is this? What's the symbolism there? What's the historical direct context? Why would have a beast have a number though? I don't know. I'm not really sure. If because that's the question though, is like back then we're talking about different languages, and numbers could, depending on that culture, could have a different representation as far as like what numbers meant. Like numbers could be letters, letters could be numbers. You know what I mean? Like it all depends on the cultural context that it's being used in and what it meant historically, and like what I presume to be Greek. Was it written in Greek? You know what I mean? So maybe a little bit of a history homework there for you folks to figure out for me for next time. If you tell me what the fuck it means, that'd be awesome. Okay, thanks. I'm gonna read stories. 666 is a reflection of the Trinity. Yeah. So a little context to help the story flow. My parents got divorced when I was 10. I'm a female. Fuck, sorry. 69 is the number of the thirsty. My parents got divorced when I was 10 years old and my brother was 8. I'm a girl, for context. They had bought a house in a fairly big land and decided to split it. The house was demolished and my mom was building a new house to live with me and my brother. We live in a very small city that is known for its safety. Fast forward to when I was 15, I'm now 25, and the house still wasn't ready. Me and my brother and mom lived in an apartment really close to where they were building the house, so we would check it from time to time. It was an evening when me and my mom were getting back from the market and decided to go check the house. As we were parking in front of the house, the car light shows a man trying to jump the fence to get in. I was really freaked out, but my mom stepped out of the car and shouted at him, asking him what he was trying to do. It was an old guy, maybe in his late 60s. He was really tall, white, and skinny. He was starting to get bald, having hair just on the sides of his head. He just sent really creepy vibes. He jumped off of the fence and looked kind of scared. He wasn't expecting someone to show up because nobody lived in that place yet. He said he lived in the apartment building next to the house and he was trying to cut down a branch from a tree that was knocking on his window. So my mom said he was trespassing and if he wanted to do something in her house, he should have contacted her. She yelled at him to go away and to never come back. We went home and never really talked about it. A few months later, my family finally moved in that house. It's a cute house with lots of tree and space. With lots of tree. What the fuck? You love when Joel just talks to you. Nice. Who is this Joel guy? Well, who is he? Why the hell is he talking to you? Is he in your head? Does Joel had a fan or something? Do you guys hear that background noise? Oh, maybe it's the music? Is it the background music, do you think? I don't know. Do you guys hear a background like hum or anything of that nature? I try to reduce that to a degree, but... Let's see. You know what I can do is... Blah, 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 blah. I think... Open advanced audio settings. Hope I don't fuck something up. Let's see. Audio input capture. Nope. Zaddy Joel, no. No noise, you good. Okay. What you can do on OBS sometimes is actually check it so it like plays back exactly what you guys will be hearing, and I was going to do that real quick, but I think it's... Yeah, I do have a computer fan though, and it's... Holy shit, it's fucking hot. But let me... If that's the case, let me turn this music up ever so slightly to drown out any background noise. Haley Long with the two. Morris Media did this story before. Ah, okay. Yeah, you're gonna hear. You're definitely. I mean, basically, we all within the narration community, you know, a lot of the stories, a lot of them are kind of overlapping because we're all kind of pulling from the same sources. So, just pretend like this is, you know, a thespian troupe this is their rendition of Shakespeare, and I am that thespian group. I gotta turn off my vibrator. That's probably what you're hearing. Sorry, it was my butt plug. My apologies. Okay, a few months later, my family finally moved in that house. It's a cute house with lots of trees and space for my dogs. Okay. Do you get sponsored ever? I do from time to time. They're through like independent agencies. They'll reach out. Like recently, I did what was that called? Fucking Raid Shadow Legends. I do accept sponsors though for sure. Because honestly, I think it kind of saves on having an ad in the beginning of the video, which I'm sure you guys are always happy to avoid. But basically, what did I do recently? ExpressVPN or something like that. So, not sure if you guys, hopefully you guys sign up with it. It gives them a reason to come back. Cassandra Juardo with the 3 says, I'm getting a tattoo on my ankle. Any suggestions? Well, shit. Dude, get my avatar. Just kidding. But thank you for the 3. Okay. A few months later, my family finally moved in that house. It's a cute house with lots of trees and space for my dogs to run free. At that time, we had 3 dogs, 2 small ones, and a border collie. Border collie. Yeah, my last sponsorship was my butt plug sponsorship. Oh, shit. Butt plig. Hey, guys. This is brought to you by Raid Shadow Butt Plugs. Raid Shadow butt plugs are the best butt plugs in town. They do not fall out. No matter the size, they expand to your comfort. Waffles or pancakes? Well, I always feel like waffles are more fancy because, like, the breakfast place that I always go to kind of, like, I feel like hones in on the fact that waffles are the bomb. But, like, for some reason, like, they bring them out and they don't... Waffles, and I think it depends on how they're cooked, but, like, they don't always stay, like, as soft as I'd like them to. And I end up really enjoying just eating some pancakes because they're usually, like, especially the ones underneath the top pancakes. They glow in the dark butt plug with my furry slug tail sticking out. But something about pancakes I do kind of prefer because what I usually do is actually spread a bunch of peanut butter on it. And then the ones underneath are usually much warmer. But I mean, honestly, if I can get to those waffles or pancakes early when they're in their like peak gooey state, man, that's what I'm talking about right there. French toast is good. I'm telling you what. Now that might be better. We gotta do, honestly, breakfast foods, like, if I had to choose the only meal I could have for the entire day, it would be breakfast foods for sure. And then I would just eat that only. God, yeah. Breakfast foods are the shit. Honestly, that's why I think part of me has like a strong sense of elation when I get to a breakfast place. Like when I'm at a breakfast place and it's like 9 a.m., the sun's like, licking your face, man, and you smell that morning coffee, you take that first sip, got a little bit of water there, maybe some juice, and you're about to get fucking flooded with the best tasting shit of all time. And you got the whole day ahead of you for something badass. Like going to Walmart or some shit. I don't know. Whatever you got planned for the day, but man, going to breakfast joints and just having good conversation with friends is you're unsubbing for my choice, yeah. At least that's the only thing people are mad at me about. Ron with a 5 says, going for a night walk with my brother's girlfriend so she can get some photos of the Milky Way here. We'll be back. Oh, nice, the Milky Way. Dude, freaking, if you're part of, send those pictures through. Apparently here in Pennsylvania, we have, like, there's an area that's, like, one of the darkest spots in the United States and potentially the world, and the view of the Milky Way is gorgeous, and I would love to get there at some point. I don't know how far away it is. At that time, we had 3 dogs, 2 small ones, and a border collie we rescued. Every day, we could hear a teenage female voice yelling at the apartment building next to our house. We figured out it was just some teenage drama because we could hear her say things every teen has said to their parents, like, "I don't want to live here anymore," or "You don't get me at all," so we never really did anything about it. Some time had passed, and my best friend moved to an apartment in that building. She said that she could hear that teen yelling to her father. Guess who the father was? Yes, the man that was trying to get inside my yard. That freaked me out a little bit, but I didn't have any proof that he was doing something to her. One evening, I was eating some fruits in the front of the house with my dogs, and I heard some screams, like a man and a woman were fighting. I looked around and figured out that it was coming from the building next to my house. As I looked at the building, I saw a woman falling from a balcony, but couldn't see if anyone had pushed her. So I called an ambulance, and they were really fast with getting here and taking her to the hospital. At the same time, the police came and took a man that I couldn't get a look at to see if it was the same man that had trespassed here. I didn't get to know what had happened that day and who that man was. My dad started building his house next to my mom's. I spent a lot of time in my best friend's apartment. That was just by the creepy apartment. As I said, my yard was filled with trees, and sometimes we could see animals there like lizards, snakes, fox, possums. This day, me and my friend were in her balcony and could see a lizard walking in the wall that separated my house and the building. In the balcony next to hers, the creepy man showed up with a gun, trying to shoot that lizard. We started to scream for him, begging him not to kill the lizard. He looked up at us, surprised. I guess he thought he was alone. He didn't say anything, just went back into his apartment. I told my dad about it, and he said I shouldn't interact with that man. I was already 18, and things started to calm down, or so I thought. It was an afternoon around 4 p.m., and I was home alone. I decided to go for a walk with my border collie dog. She's really sweet, and I used to ride her around like a horse. Crystal with the 2 says, hello, Crystal. Welcome. Thanks for being here. She was really sweet, and I used to ride my bike as she followed me running, and so I was doing that. As we were coming back to my house, just passing by the building, that man throws a really big rock at my dog. She was running, so the rock hit her leg. I cursed at him and sorry. There's just like little random grammar mistakes that throw me off. I cursed at him and got back in my house, looking at my dog to see if she was hurt. I told my mom, and she said I should never walk alone again. Some days later, I found a really cute but skinny cat at my college. I was sitting down smoking, and this cat jumped in my lap. I came back to watch a class with him in my lap. Oh, because of Zoom or whatever. Hugs with drugs. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Do I get high? I don't really, actually. I just, I used to. I have, and I'm not opposed to the idea, I just don't really do it consistently by myself, because my mind goes in a lot of different directions, and doing it by myself would probably be not the wisest. As we were coming back to my house, just passing by the building, that man throws a really big rock at my dog. She was running, so the rock hit her leg. I cursed at him and got back in my house, looking at my dog to see if she was hurt. I told my mom, and she said that I should never walk alone again. Some days later, I found a really cute but skinny cat at my college, and I was sitting down smoking, and this cat jumped in my lap. I came back to watch a class with him in my lap. He slept through the whole class. I came back home with him. He was orange and fierce. As he was a street cat before, we let him go for walks in my street, and everyone liked him. He was really friendly and asked for everyone to pet him. People let him in their houses and frequently sent my mom pics of that cat of their yards or sofas, so we never thought that he was bothering somebody by walking around. At this time, we were forgetting about the violent nature from our neighbor. My family went on a trip to visit my grandma, and my dad stayed to take care of our pets. He said one night he heard some footsteps around his house, but as he walked out the front door, he couldn't see anymore. He thought it was just the dogs messing around and went back to his house to sleep. When we came back, we realized one of the trees back in my mom's house was dying. It was a really big tree. We think it was over 100 years old. This tree is the biggest one in the yard, and it was always so beautiful. I should mention that this... Sorry. I should mention this is the tree the man was complaining... Oh, okay. Oh yeah, sometimes like if people at me, you might notice like it doesn't come up as like a highlighted thing because like it almost has to register sort of like typing in code, you know what I mean? Where you do @let's read and you might actually have to actually click my name to verify that it's like going to appear as an orange highlight on my screen, whereas sometimes people just type @let's read and it doesn't like register, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. I should mention that this is the tree the man was complaining about the first time that we met him. So my dad went to look at that tree and figured out a lot of... Oh my god, what the fuck? Have you ever taken LSD or mushrooms? I took LSD on my 27th birthday. So 3 years ago. Fucking weird how time flies. Took a microdose, and basically I would say that when I took it, it felt as if though I was the highest, like, you know, the peak high that I'd been under marijuana, but for like 8 hours straight. And for me, I didn't really enjoy that, because I do like to be high, but like it was basically just me and my friend walking, and we walked 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 and talked and walked and talked, and every time I would come back thinking that things would start to chill out, I would just get really anxious, like I had to keep moving, you know what I mean? I had to keep moving, and because some people suggest that I take LSD on stream, and it's like, no, the stream would end like immediately because I would have to get moving. I'd have to go. And so I think LSD, or at least maybe the microdosing that I took, would be good for hiking or some shit. But the only thing that was kind of lame the only bad thing, and it's not that I had like a bad trip, because it wasn't like I was seeing things, but it was just a lot of thinking, a lot of a really, really active, potentially anxious mind. And a lot of the things that were thinking were negative thoughts. Just negative thoughts, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, I remember I felt, one of the feelings that I felt was as if though I was like, there is no God, there is no God, there is no God. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like a ruminating thought, and it was just like, it made me feel really alone, you know, it made me feel really hopeless, I guess. And there were other things that I realized, like, in life. I guess there was one realization that I had while on it where I was like, nobody really gives a shit how you feel. They only care how you make them feel. You know what I mean? So it doesn't even, like, to me, this was my thought, like my own personal like change of behavior or something of that nature, is if though, like, I thought, like, if I'm feeling negative, I shouldn't act negative, you know? Because what I'm going to do is I'm only going to perpetuate the negativity onto the next person, which is going to make them not want to hang out with me anymore. And I realized the reason I like hanging out with certain people is because they make me feel good about being around them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys can relate. It's a pretty basic concept since you were young. You know, I like being around my favorite grandma because she gives me a cookie and tell me I'm good. You know what I mean? So, like, in a similar fashion, I was like, if I feel not good, you know, like, I should never impart that. I mean, it's a pretty basic, like, golden rule type thing, but it was almost as if though even sort of like the more like depressed thoughts that aren't necessarily like nefarious by any sense, like being depressed around other people, to me felt as if though it was, I should never be that, you know, I should never be that. Not saying that you can't be that and that it's bad of you to be that, but I thought that it would behoove me, it would benefit me to never show those sides unless prompted, or not to show them too often to other people, because I knew that my own personal weight would eventually be too much for other people to carry, So it's like I didn't want to put my own personal struggles on other people too often. So it's like it just, while I was high on LSD, on a microdose, mind you, it was like 1/4 of what a normal tab would be, I guess. I don't really know. Was just that, like, even if I was feeling sad, that I shouldn't impart that sadness on other people, because they would prefer me in a state of just general either neutrality or positivity. You know what I mean? So, though, and I understand if people have like depression, anxiety, all of those kind of things. I am not saying that if you can't control it, that you should just somehow will it out of your existence or anything, because it obviously, the sort of overarching weight of it will still exist within inside of you. But for my own personal self, I thought, you know what, I am just going to continue to be more of a positive individual to other people, in hopes to sort of like deter any sort of negativity, because I know that we're all kind of going through the sadness of morality, or mortality rather, the sadness of mortality, the sort of realization that we will one day pass away, and kind of coming to terms with that and trying to make the best of the time that we have here. And I just figured, with the time that I have, I'm just going to try to be as good of a entity or individual to other people as I can, so that they can enjoy their time next to me, and I won't bring them anywhere further down than they may already be, so that was good. One good realization. But yeah, there was also another one that, as far as just the sort of like, if you could describe God as sort of being a presence, like within your mind, within your sort of like being of sorts, it's like obviously a spiritual thing for those who may have like kind of grown up in that environment, and maybe have developed a certain sense of that. I felt as if though LSD, or at least the microdosing, kind of turned that off. And that was kind of shitty, because I almost thought like, wow, did something biochemically within me just, did something more, biochemically within me literally just get shut off because I took this substance? And, but it's probably just a mental thing that was just, once again, because I was high as fuck. I have no idea, so. But anyways, every day you can control 2 things, attitude and effort. Everything else is up to the world around you. Might as well be a decent human being as possible. I completely agree. There is absolutely no substitute for a good attitude and good effort. Because the more effort you put into your craft, into your life, into everything that you do, you will immediately have a substantial advantage over who you were yesterday, and most likely those around you who are not putting in that positive attitude or effort. So no matter what sort of issues you may consider being in your life, there's always an ability to turn it in a positive sense somehow. I'm gonna cry on Joel's shoulders. My shoulders are rather dainty. I hope your tears don't make you slide off. It zaps your serotonin. Yeah. I mean, same with Molly. Some people say they take Molly and then they're like depressed for fucking like a couple weeks, So please do be careful if you decide to participate in these substances. I don't, condone them, I guess. Or, I'm just saying, like, please be intelligent about how you go to it, because they are chemicals. You are a being made of these chemicals. They can affect you. I have had people, and I'm going to tell you, this is kind of personal, but it's very sad. I've had individuals in my like church that I used to go to that literally became different people because they thought consistently taking large amounts of LSD would enlighten them in some weird fashion, but it actually completely racked their brain towards a more of a state of schizophrenia, and you got to be careful with that. So, especially if you know, might have a familial history of that, you know. Mr. Miyogi 1 with the 3 says, keep up the good work. Thank you, mister. Thank you, mister. Can I have a popsicle? Does it deplete serotonin? I mean, for a period of time, I think with Molly, it sort of like releases all of your serotonin at one time. Yeah, ecstasy, MDMA. It kind of releases all your serotonin at one time, and then your body kind of like has to reuptake it or destroy it in some fashion. And yeah, Jay Wilson, it's like if I suggest taking it, you know, I don't, honestly. I actually don't. I know it sounds weird. Some people have like a sudden revelation, but that's not to say that these same positive revelations that certain people have, they couldn't have arrived to through their own individual meditation. You know, not saying you have to sit there and like do deep breaths, but like thoughts will come to your mind eventually that will help change your life in a positive sense. And it's, you know, pretty much up to you whether or not you make it happen, you know, whether you become that better person you want to be. It's every day you have control over yourself. Okay, sorry about that long ramble. I should mention this is the tree that the man was complaining about the first time that we met him. So my dad went to look at that tree and figured out a lot of holes in it. What? So my dad went to look at that tree and found a lot of holes in it. He said it's a way to get poison inside the tree to kill it. He also said that we shouldn't tell my mom because it's going to scare her and make her really sad because the trees were the main reason that she bought the place, and I never told her about it. Some time passes and me and my brother moved out to another town to finish our studies. I wanted to take my cat with me, but my mom said it was going to be hard for him to adapt to living in an apartment. He likes so much walking around, so I agreed that she should stay with him. A few days later, she visited me and said that my cat had died. I was heartbroken. How did it happen? She found him with his neck broken in front of the apartment building next to our house. His head was twisted, but my cat was still alive. But as she arrived at the vet, my cat had already passed away. She said that she thinks it was that man that killed him. We don't have any proof, but you know that feeling when you just know it. I cried so much and was just writing about it to... I cried so much, and just writing about it makes me cry again. He was my first cat, and he was so sweet. My mom still lives in the same house. She has 5 cats now, but none of them go out. That man still lives next to her. I'm with her during quarantine, and I see him all the time. He walks past our house, always looking up to see if someone's in there. You're hungry? Where's the snickety snacks? Any snacks in here? Lainey, you have a rat. That's pretty cool. My friend had like quite a few rats. They were interesting creatures. Interesting creatures. Do 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 do. I gotta sneeze, sorry. Yeah, I remember someone's neighbor, or my aunt's neighbor poisoned their cat with giving them some sort of like shit that you put in your car, but like put it in their water or food or something. It's pretty fucked up. I don't know what's wrong with people. Why the fuck do you kill cats? Like, why? Some people are just fucked up. LSD gave us Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, I suppose so. If you're a writer and you need some real fucking inspiration, I'm sure it'll take you somewhere. Thank you for the blessings. Joel is a whole meal, I know. A little thick. A lot of meat. Crawl up inside me and stay warm for the winter. Just a secret, Joel is John 5. What's John 5? Is that like an anime? Brittany T says, dude, my great aunt had a cat-side cat, and it got into our neighbor's garden, and the dude shot it in the head and mutilated by... I don't know, man. Literally do not know. Like, why the fuck do you have to shoot? Like, a cat's not really fucking with your garden that much. Like, it's definitely not... Like, it might be chewing on a leaf because it's interested, but it's for sure not a goddamn, groundhog or some random other creature that, like, literally feeds off of carrots, or tomatoes or whatever. Like, someone who does that, I just feel like is just a sadistic fuck, John 5, ex-band member of Marilyn Manson. Ah, okay. Johnny 5. Monday morning, what's up? Do I write stories myself? Not really. I used to kind of, like, write some science fiction stuff. Didn't make it very far. I'd like to get back into it. I keep saying that pretty much about everything. Anything that I want to do, I say I should. And really all it comes down to is taking step one, which I'm sure is the same thing for literally anything in life. The same way that I kind of determined recently, we finally came down to it after doing a little bit of a survey on Patreon, that most likely we'll have like the $1 early access, obviously, to this audio. And then I was thinking if there would be a $5 tier, which would be an additional creepypasta, like a pretty lengthy one, just because a lot of people have been missing the creepypastas, like a $5 tier to get that once a month. And then I would think like a $15 tier, because people said 25 was just too much. And I was just kind of throwing numbers out there, but a $15 tier for some like a little bit of sexy action with shit I read about too. So definitely we got that in the works. I should just make it happen. I don't know why the fuck I'm so lazy. Princess Mononoke. I used to sleep to your stories, but as a lucid dreamer, I would get stuck in nightmares. Oh, that would fucking suck. God. But I kind of wish my dreams were more vivid lately. They have not been. How's Pradeep? He's good. He has not demanded or slammed his body to get into the room tonight, which is kind of funny. To set the scene, I'm an average height, average size 20-year-old female. I've been told I'm very approachable and perhaps too nice to strangers. I sometimes just don't have the heart to tell people to buzz off, and I definitely should. Obviously, I'm not going to give specific details, but I worked in a restaurant which was inside a bigger shopping center. My stalker, an old man named Eric, worked for the actual shopping center itself and not a store inside it like me. When I was 16 and first started the job, I was quite timid and awkward and let anyone say pretty much anything to me. I didn't quite know what to say when older customers and other employees would make inappropriate comments to me. I would simply just laugh it off, whatever people would say, or not respond. In my 16-year-old mind, this was a lot easier to handle. I had one other friend at my job who was my age, and her name was Jessica. Jessica had worked there for longer than I had, and one day she asked me if I had heard of this guy who worked in the shopping center called Eric. Jessica described Eric as very strange and didn't describe him as frightening or unsettling or even someone to be afraid of, just as a very eccentric man. Really, she and other employees would laugh at his odd sayings and awkward behavior. Jessica has also told me that Eric had brought her a present on Valentine's Day, chocolate. Anyone would think that this friendly behavior or harmless flirting if he wasn't a 50-year-old something man bringing chocolates to a 16-year-old girl he barely knows. I began to see for myself that Eric wasn't just an innocent old man with a slight crush. He had other intentions. The first time I remember Eric approaching me was when I was filling up a machine near the entrance of my work. This machine was out of the view of all of the other employees, and the restaurant was empty, so this is pretty much the perfect time for a creep to approach without being seen. Eric wasn't supposed to enter my place of work when he was working at the shopping center, so he had deliberately gone out of his way to come and speak to me. To describe his appearance, he is your typical creepy old loner. He was gaunt, had gray hair with bald patches, and had beady little eyes which he never averted from yours, and I can't get them out of my head till this day. Eric must have He snooked up on me. Like Sneak King. Your friend is possessed by Michael Jackson's ghost. Holy shit, maybe. Eric must have sneaked. Is it sneaked or snuck? Snuck is the past and past participle of sneak. We've done it. Eric must have snuck up on me. As I looked up, he was standing right next to me, a little too close. I could feel his breath on my cheek. My name is Lucy, and Eric asked me, "Lucy, are you married?" He almost giggled after he asked me this. He had a smirk on his face, which made me feel as if he was trying to pretend that he thought I was older than I was, and at 16, I look 16. Eric liked to ask me questions that he already knew the answer to, just to see what my reaction would be. Letting me know in his own way that he had been looking up information about me on social media, he would do this frequently. I began to clock onto the fact that Eric had been going a little further than just approaching me at work, and instead stalking my social media accounts in the weeks following this first encounter, such as Twitter and Instagram, when he began asking me very specific questions about things I had posted about it in the days before. For example, I had posted on Instagram about a tattoo that I got, which was in homage to my favorite band. I was serving a customer one day, only to be interrupted by a shrill but quiet voice. It was Eric. His eyes were huge, and he looked a pure excitement and menace on his face. He had yet again entered my workplace when he wasn't supposed to, just to talk to me. He asked me, "Lucy, what's your favorite insert band here song?" What's a band, guys? She says insert hero. It sounds fucking weird. Insert band. What's a band? 9 Inch Nails? Let's go with 9 Inch Nails and pretend she likes 9 Inch Nails. He asked me, "Lucy, what's your favorite 9 Inch Nails song?" Eric relished in my discomfort. You could see by my reaction that I was clocking on the fact that he had been viewing my personal social media, and the thought of that made my blood run cold. I felt disgusting and violated. The tattoo I had gotten was covered by my work uniform, so the only way he could have seen it was by going through my Instagram page. This creeped me out majorly, but somehow I just forced myself to forget all about it and carried on working. Over the course of a few months, Eric would come into my workplace more and more frequently, asking me bizarre questions and still reciting back to me things that I had tweeted about or posted on Instagram. Every time I would see him, I would get visibly uncomfortable, and he liked this, and this is what he wanted. All the while this was happening, Jessica approached me and let me know that Eric had followed me. Skillet. Skillet. Leslie, you like 9 Inch Nails? Nice. Oh, it's so fucking hot in here. Holy shit. No matter how much I keep the AC on, like, leading up to the stream, it just gets so fucking hot. So fucking hot in there. All while this was happening, Jessica approached me and let me know that Eric had... Oh, oops. Sorry. Tip your reader. The Witcher. Alright, how do I read this? All the while this was happening, Jessica approached me and let me know that... Hey, Cassandra has become a full-grown pizza, and a member of the Buttersuck called everyone Say hello to Cassandra. Thank you, Cassandra. All while this was happening, Jessica approached me and let me know that Eric had followed her in his car on her walk home from work, slowly down to ask her where she lived. I had also been told other disturbing news about Eric from multiple different people. It seemed as if he was becoming more invested in whatever his intentions were towards me and Jessica. News had traveled to one of my managers about Eric's unsettling actions towards me, and this manager informed me that a few years ago, Eric was rumored to have followed a young girl who used to work for our restaurant into a toilet. Things didn't quite make sense to me. He was known for being a creep, yet still employed at the shopping center? On one hand, I was glad to know I wasn't just creeped out for no reason, but on the other hand, I was frightened, as he'd been doing this for years, yet no one had stopped him. There was a woman who worked at the same place as me called Rebecca, and she had some sort of disability which caused her to befriend and be trusting to people without knowing anything about them. It seems that Eric took advantage of her, as he had asked for her phone number and she gave it to him. Rebecca had shown me her text with Eric. He had texted her things like, "Rebecca, are you alone?" and "Rebecca, are you sat on the bus alone?" But the most unsettling part of all was the text from Eric that read, "Rebecca, could you please let me know any information on the girls that work at the restaurant that we worked at?" I was stunned. This was quite slowly turning into my nightmare. I was constantly questioning why this old man was so bent on finding out everything to do with my life. Why me? He had gone out of his way to source information about me through a vulnerable person I worked with, and I was scared he was going to go further. Again, this creeped me out, but still, for some reason I forgot about it and carried on with my life, which was very hectic at the time, and in a way I'm grateful that I didn't have the time to dwell on Eric's growing obsession. However, this was something I wouldn't be able to ignore forever, as Eric began inserting himself into my life in ways I couldn't just ignore or brush off. One night I was watching the movie Grease with my family, and I must have tweeted something stupid like, "Grease is my favorite film," because it is a great film, right? Anyways, the morning after my tweet, Eric approaches me in his usual way and utters, "Do you like the film Grease, Lucy?" The same usual smirk lit up his face, and the same usual wave of disgust washed over me. He was really making it a point to let me know that he was watching me. I tried to carry on with my day, but spent the entirety of my shift feeling a little shaken up. To someone reading this story, it may not seem as unsettling to you as it did to me at the time, but when someone is going out of their way to make sure you know they know information about you, you spend every waking hour thinking about what they plan to do with this information and why they insist on taunting you with this knowledge. The very second I clocked out of work and got into my car, my phone went off. This was a notification for PayPal. I clicked on this notification to see that I had received $3 from an Eric Stanley and a note attached that read, "To Lucy, Grease is the word, from Eric." He literally found my PayPal account to send me $3 with a quote from the movie attached to it. If this wasn't crazy enough, in the days following I received a string of anonymous calls, incessant calls, one after the other. I was in floods of tears and ended up having a huge panic attack. I felt like there was no escape. My phone rang and rang and rang all night. I had to turn it off to get away. Even when I turned my phone back on, the calls continued, and every time my phone would ring, my head felt like it was being impaled with the sharpest knife in the world. I was on complete edge. The phone calls that I did answer were just someone breathing down the phone, making a point to breathe heavy. I even swear that they were trying to sound like that they were touching themselves, pleasuring themselves, which sickened me. I had no proof that this was Eric, but it wasn't hard to put two and two together after all the lengths that he had gone to in order to track down my personal information. If he had found out my PayPal address, my phone number, and all my social media accounts, what was stopping him from finding out where I live, breaking in, hurting me or my family? That night I had horrific dreams in which he chased me around my house and taunted me for hours. I still have similar dreams and struggle to sleep without my boyfriend present, as I'm scared he's standing right outside my door to this day. I reported Eric to my managers, and they passed my complaint on to managers of the shopping center. At this point, I was genuinely scared for my safety. Multiple girls added to my statement and added details of times that they had witnessed Eric's unsettling behavior or times that he had been inappropriate with them too. Eric had been cautioned by the shopping center's management, yet nothing was done, except the fact that he was warned not to talk to me. Eric found ways around the no talking to Lucy rule. He would make animal noises at me when he would see me, like a monkey or a dog or any bizarre noise that would get my attention. I think he just wanted me to think that he had outsmarted me, found a way around the rules. After this, I stopped working at the restaurant as a full-time job and saw Eric less and less, which was obviously great for me. I moved cities as I went away from university and made new friends, which distracted me from my old life in my hometown. I still thought about Eric every now and then, and when I focus on it for too long, I can't be alone, out of fear that he is still keeping tabs on me, and the thought of that terrifies me. After moving away and starting my new life, I forgot about the twisted little man who used to obsess over me in my old job. I forgot he existed, but I was soon going to remember. On Christmas Day, I was back home in my hometown with my parents. My phone buzzed, and I expected it to just be another message from a friend or family member, but I was wrong. I received a notification from PayPal, and it was the exact amount of $3. Only not from Eric this time, but from a girl whose name I didn't recognize at all. I opened up the PayPal app only to see a note attached to this payment that I had received, and the note read, "Sending on behalf of Eric." My blood ran cold again. I had forgotten all about this man and all he had done to make me feel unsafe and unsettled, and here he was again, antagonizing me. Yet, this time doing it through other people, perhaps his way of telling me that him being banned from talking to me himself won't stop him from entering my world. I threw my phone down on the couch and spent the night drinking with family until I forgot about the notification. I probably should have told someone about it, but I just wanted to do as much as I could to block him out. I didn't want him to control me anymore, and I since haven't seen or heard anything from him. And I want it to stay that way. I think Eric still works at that shopping center and lives local to me. I avoid my old workplace so I don't have to see him and he doesn't have to see me. So to the creepy, beady-eyed freak that made me live in fear, please, never speak to me again. Holy shit. Not even, well, I don't know how many mistakes that was, but that was pretty good. Munster cheese, yes, Munster cheese is very, very good. Ryan Crazy says penis. Thank you so much for your contribution to the chat. Thank you, Ryan. Ooh, we're at 770 people. If we can get to 777, we can counteract the 666 from earlier. And we got 2 more stories to go. Pretty lengthy ones here. Lengthy and girthy. Hello, this is my friend Lengthy and Girthy. Whew, it's like a hot, steaming sauna in here. Weston, what's up, bro? What's good, my dog? How's it going down in Florida? Bet it's hot as a witch's tit. You guys probably don't have that saying down there, but old people around here will say it's cold as a witch's tit, which is really funny. It's like such a stupid fucking old person saying, but I think it'd be fun to say hot as a witch's tit. It's like a hot, steamy girth. Nice. Yes, grab another drink, Steve. We shall begin shortly. The small intermission. Don't drink out of the straw. Save the sea turtles. See, the way that I see it with the sea turtles is that what they want to be careful is that they don't tell you about this in ecology class. But what ends up happening with the straws is when we dump them into the ocean, and the sea turtles are they tend to, they're like us. They want contraception and things of that nature. So they actually use the straws as condoms. But some of the straws are relatively lengthy and girthy. Well, mainly lengthy and pretty narrow, but perfect for a sea turtle's penis. And what ends up happening is that most scientists are actually really terrified that turtles, over a period of, maybe a couple thousand, 100,000 years, 10,000, 100,000 years, turtles will begin to adapt. They'll begin to start seeing, preferential reproduction value in turtles with really long cocks. And if we end up with turtles with massive penises in the water, in our oceans, around the coral reef, a lot of turtle cum, coral reef. Like I'm really worried about our future, and we have to essentially protect ourselves against that, because can you imagine what would happen if turtles developed giant wieners? I don't even want to dream about it. I don't even want to dream. Oh, we hit over 777, baby. Yeah. The holy number, baby. Yeah. Dude, it's so hot that my brain is melting. What the fuck? Everyone's getting real fucked. Dude. Everyone's going to start dating the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're going to start dumping ooze in the oceans to get these turtles into humanoid form. Okay. That was a message brought to you by the WWF. And Bill Gates, too. I had broken up with my now ex back in January of 2019. My doing. I was angry at everything and had joined Tinder. Talked to a guy that seemed pretty cool and was quite attractive. I talked to him quite a bit, took a lift down to where he lived. Now his dad had passed away not too long ago, so he moved back in with his mom to help out. I found that very sweet, and so I thought nothing of it. We took a lift to Walmart and to the liquor store as his mom had requested some wine. I had bought a pizza to bake at their home to make a decent impression and had purchased her wine, which she gave me cash for despite my protests, again, trying to make a good impression. This home was gorgeous. They had an old-timey jukebox, and the freaking sink taps in the bathroom were installed in the mirrors. Water flowed from a spout in the freaking mirrors. His mom was as sweet as Southern tea and seemed to have been taking a liking to me. Cool, I thought. So this guy had been messaging his lesbian best friend C and explained that he had helped her out after she broke her ankle and such. Again, I thought, what a nice guy. We drank, made love. Shit. Scientifically accurate Ninja Turtles. This is how we get Ninja Turtles, guys. In fact, I'm switching that around. We're going to need Ninja Turtles to defend ourselves. And every home's going to need a Ninja Turtle. And the only way we're going to get there is through tens of thousands of adaptive evolutionary years. And I really think that the only plausible possibility for that to happen is to just buy packs of straws, don't even use them, don't even take the paper off of them. Even if you have paper straws, that's all you got available to you in your state, just throw them right in the ocean. Just go right up to the ocean, find like a turtle reservoir, maybe a nest of turtles, like a bunch of eggs, and just maybe even inside the egg, just pop like, a straw directly into the egg, kind of like you're, opening up a Capri Sun bottle or something like that. And my hope is that over, 10,000, 100,000 years, we should have a Ninja Turtle for every household. Let's read for president. Thank you very much. What color Ninja Turtle would you love? I used to love Donatello. I believe he was the one with the big stick. He used a straw. Donatello used a straw to fight crime. But I used to fucking love Donatello, the purple Ninja Turtle. And I liked him because he was, I don't know, I think he was smarter than the other ones, I think. Leonardo was like blue and he was the leader or whatever, so he was pretty like, he was smart but athletic or whatever, but not too smart, you know. And then there was Raphael, was kind of a hothead, you know. He's red and he had like jinjutsus or whatever the fuck it's called. And then Orange was that Michelangelo? Wait. Fuck, I don't remember who they were. Shit, how do I remember this? Okay, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Orangelo? Was Orangelo one of the turtles? That's a big question of the day. It would make sense if the orange one was named Orangelo. Or Orange Jello. I can't verify this, though. Protect all animals. Yes, yes. Please do protect the animals. Be nice to them. Be nice to your animal friends, because you never know when they might suddenly go through evolutionary adaptation and become giant 7-foot beasts that know karate and could chop your neck in half. So be ready for that. Oh, okay. Wait, Mickey? There's no turtle called Mickey, unless Michelangelo's called... Oh, Mikey. Wait, was he really called Mikey? Was he called Michael? Oh, Michelangelo. Okay. Wait. Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael. Okay, yeah, Raphael is red. Sorry. Whew. It's so fucking hot in this room. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We figured it the fuck out, baby. You guys aren't even a chat. You're just all the voices in my head, like trying to help me figure shit out. That'd be sick if you just had like 800 people, which is pretty. Actually, 800 people is we broke, not like a recent record, but or not like it's more of a recent Quifatello. It's more of a recent record because I think the most I've ever had in here is 1.2K, and 800's a pretty solid number, guys. Shy Cook, spending your birthday with Let's Read. That's what I like to hear. Happy birthday, Shy. Somebody get some Joel some AC his brain. I'm literally boiling like a turtle egg right now that someone stuck a straw in and it's just sucking out. We drank, we were intimate, and everything was cool. I had told him I had borderline before we met up and had warned him I had scars from previous cutting incidents, but nothing recent. He was fine with it and understood. The next morning I had an interview at a major company call center and his mom offered to drive me. Such a sweetheart. I did great in the interview and was offered the job. I immediately texted this guy to tell him the good news. So one day when I was home and had slept for about 8 hours, I wake up to a dozen text messages and over 20 Facebook messages from him. It ranged from, "Hey, how's it going?" to, "It's hard to say this." I had to see how the messages... Oh, I see. She's saying that. Okay. Fuck, it's hard to say this. I had to see how the messages progresses, quickly scrolled through them and saw the one that says, I have a picture of it still, "Those cut marks on your arm, yeah, I wouldn't have dated a cutaway. Most of them are pathetic. They need to get..." Oh, okay. It ranged from, "Hey, how's it going?" to, and it's hard to say this. I had seen how the messages progressed as quickly as I scrolled through and saw the one that says, and I still have the picture of it, "Those cut marks on your arm. Yeah, I wouldn't have dated a cutter anyways. Most of them are pathetic, that need to get some serious help. Might as well keep doing that since it seems to be your only friend." Dear God. I blocked him immediately. Then I posted it to my Facebook page so if anyone knew him, they could know what he was actually up to. I get a friend request from his friend C that I talked about earlier, and she filled me in. Apparently she's not a lesbian. She has broken up with him hours before befriending me, so they were still dating when he had me over, and he told her I was a lesbian. Also that he goes by his middle name. I had done a basic search with the name he provided and on his Facebook page to make sure he wasn't a felon or something crazy before meeting him. Well, when I did the search with his first real name, sure as pudding, So many charges, including having illicit images of children on his computer. He'd been stalking her, pinging her phone location and messaging her stuff like, "Oh, what? You're not going to leave your house?" And he told her to end her life. She had gotten the cops involved. She had sent me screenshots of the messages he was sending. We talked a bit more, and while I'm not a medical professional, it was kind of clear something was wrong. He was lying, manipulative, aggressive, angry, and obviously his moods would flip faster than mine. I offered to send her what I could of the messages in case she could use them to build a case against him. Shortly after, I got a friend request from a name I didn't recognize, something generic like Mike. Then I got a message saying, "Hey, it's Jay, how's it going? How's your job at the company that I was hired at, that his mom drove me to for the interview?" I was freaked out. He knew where I worked. The building was secure, but the parking lot not so much. I got pepper spray and called my dad, who had been in the police force and such since I was alive. He advised to not carry a baseball bat because if it was wrestled for me, it could be used against me, but pepper spray was a decent choice. He also said that while online bullying isn't something the police can do much about, if he messages me again, it goes into the harassment area, and if needed, he would be reported ASAP. I was getting off of work after midnight, and I was scared out of my mind. I parked as close to the building as possible with my pepper spray in hand. Fortunately, I haven't ran into him since. I do not want to meet with him again. I've also moved since and changed jobs. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You feel the love in this chat room. I'm glad there's some love here. Donatello's the smartest of all. Hell yeah. Donatello, with his big straw, fighting crime, fighting polluters. He stole a straw from the first polluter he ever saw. Lol, can you read you Jane? What?
Full-grown pizza.
The Jane babysitter story. I do remember that one. It's a very popular one. But I will not be reading it tonight. I'm sorry. This will be the last one of the evening. Real God says, gonna do some yoga. Have a good night, everyone. Sweet dreams. Real God, you enjoy your yoga. Get nice and limber. And Tougher Coot 05 has become a full-grown pizza and a member of the Buttersaw Cult. Everyone say hello to Tougher Coot. The toughest coot in the whole town. I am Donatello. Donatello's cool. He drinks Surge. Oh yeah, what was the drink that the ooze? Yeah, it was like ooze, but it wasn't called something else too. Can you feel the queef tonight? Monday morning with the 5 says, Joel, can you read your Jane horror story? I can't, my friend. I'm sorry. It's not part of the old spiel tonight, and it's kind of getting late anyways with everything. And I got one more story here I will indulge you with. Because the Jane one's kind of long, and I'm already like boiling alive. Brasser, you want to be a member? Nice. Yeah, just click that join button. It should be near the subscribe button, I do believe. That would be super duper. Hayden Neal, can I say your name? There you go.
Hey, listen.
Can you ask why you're the Buttersaw Cult? Dude, I don't even remember. It started as like a meme. Very similar to how we began talking about Ninja Turtles and straws and pollution and all that good stuff, and them putting their wieners in it and adapting over 10,000 years to having big wieners. Very similar to that, just kind of streamlined of thought. I think someone talked about Buttersocks, and then someone said something about the Buttersock Cult. I think Buttersocks are from iCarly at some point. iCarly was a little bit after my time as far as like kids shows to watch, so I never, it was right around that time of Drake and Josh where I was too cool for that. I was watching Family Guy. Ninja Fartles. We're having a Jolt Cola and Zimas and Jollies. This happened to me 12 years ago when I was a really naive school kid. The more I reflect on it now, the more unsettling it is. I grew up in a rural community which was meant to be really safe, lots of retirees and young families. I'm a trans man, but was a few years away from realizing that at the time, so I just looked like a young girl. My body had developed early, but despite the Jessica Rabbit curves, I was ridiculously baby-faced. The day this happened, I was wearing the ugly junior school uniform. Junior school? Emily with the 2 says, can I ask why we're called... Oh, yeah, sorry, because I saw you in the chat, but then it got delayed. But thank you for the 2. Yeah, I have honestly, at this point, the meme is so long gone that I literally have no clue of the origin, but I guess that's how cults work, right? It's all based on tradition. I queefly. The day this happened, I was wearing the ugly junior high school uniform and had my hair in 2 plaits. Aside from... Plates? What the fuck are plates? Who remembers Thundercats? Yeah.
Plate.
Okay. Yeah, Thundercats was badass, dude. Thundercats, ho! What was the other one with, like, 2 cat brothers that, like... Do you guys remember that one? Cat... Something else. Cat Lightning? No, I don't know. The join button is available on the desktop YouTube, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's on mobile or not. The day this happened, I was wearing my ugly junior high school uniform and had my hair in 2 plaits. Aside from my chest, I probably looked about 10. Ugh. My family lived about 10 miles out of the small town I went to school in, and since it was the sticks, there was no public transport and I was too young to drive. Normally I'd get the school bus home, but if I wanted to go to the public library after school, I would go there and wait for my mother to pick me up after she finished work. If anything went wrong, I had nowhere to go. So on the day this happened, I had gone to the library alone and headed to the young adult section. It's very clearly aimed at teens with posters and beanbags and things of that nature. Normally there would be other kids there, sometimes families, but today there was only a middle-aged man sitting alone in one of the chairs. He instantly made me feel uncomfortable. It wasn't his appearance, which was dirty-looking, badly dressed, balding, overweight, dirty teeth. He didn't look homeless, just like a slob. But this space was clearly for teenagers and their families. He wasn't even reading or anything, just sitting there looking around like he was scoping the place out. His eyes were the scariest thing about him, bugging out of his head as he stared at me. I didn't want to be anywhere near this man. I quickly grabbed a few books off the shelf and went around the corner to sit in a chair in the adult fiction. Adult fiction? Adult fiction? Why does that sound weird? SWAT cats, dog. Oh, SWAT cats. Fuck. That show was so sick. Dude, back then I feel like shows were not afraid to be badass, you know? And SWAT cats had a lot of work into it. I'd say probably of equal amount of work that you would see in like an anime or even, you know, Batman the animated series. Like, dude, I don't even know what fucking kid shows are on now, but they just look like pumped out dog shit, you know what I mean? Like you literally could film a dog pooping as a close-up and it would be better than some of the kid shows that are on now. Back in my day, we used to eat the dog shit. Cheyenne Dory Bob with the 2 says, for mobile, they'll have to click on your channel. Oh, okay. So it's not quite in the chat there, I see. Thank you. For the joining. Adult function, yeah. Codename Kids Next Door was scary. Was it? Yeah, Dragon Ball Z was the shite. Literally my religion for all of like 5th and 6th grade. Every day, I would do my prayers to TV as I watched. 5:30 p.m. Cow and Chicken was good. Quickly, I grabbed a few books off the shelf and went around the corner to sit in a chair in the adult fiction section. This section was also deserted. I opened a book and tried to read, but a few seconds later, I felt eyes on me. I glanced up and saw him staring at me through the bookshelves. He saw me looking and let out this eerie giggle, like he was a child caught while playing hide and seek. It made my skin crawl. Ignoring him, I went back to my book. Next thing I know, the creep was quickly approaching me. He sat down in the chair right next to me, so close I could smell stale sweat and cigarettes. Again, the whole place was deserted, and I felt sick. He put his face close to mine and said, "Hello." His breath was disgusting. Still trying to ignore him, I said a dismissive hi, not looking up. This weirdo then proceeded to launch into his life story and talk at me for the next hour. I had no idea how much was true. He talked about his stage parents with no explanation of what he meant. He talked about being in the military and how he was detained in a psychiatric institution. He told me he had escaped and spent days living in the woods before they caught him. And the whole time I was terrified. I wanted to get a librarian, but I was so scared he might get angry and turn violent. He had made it clear that he was psychologically unstable. At one point, he told me his name and asked for mine. I was panicking too much to give him a fake one. The worst part was he asked me how old I was. Again, too scared to think of a lie, I told him I was 14. I hoped it would put him off. Nope. He brightened up and said that he'd wait until I was old enough to marry him. He said I was a good-looking girl, nice and a good listener, and that I'd make a good wife for him. At that point, I hadn't even held hands with anybody. In a huge turn of luck, my phone started to ring. Instantly, I answered it. It was my mother, telling me she was parked outside. Flooded with relief, I told her I'd be out in a moment. Looking back, I should have stayed on the phone, but for some stupid reason, I thought I'd be in trouble. Whoops. Some stupid reason about it. Oh, shit. Brittany T with the 20 big ones says, "I've got nothing to say, really. Just haven't donated to you in a while, but keep being great. You lovely human being." Thank you, Brittany. That really does make me feel warm and tingly in my loins. Thank you. Dragon Ball sack. Yeah, I remember my uncle one time when I was younger said something that always stuck with me. He's like, "Are you watching Dragon Z Balls?" What's that show you're watching there, Joel? Dragon Z Balls? Is Jensen... Yeah, I don't know. Is Jensen streaming tonight? He hasn't been in chat. Has anyone seen Love, Death, Robots? Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite shows on Netflix. Just because I love animation, I love sci-fi, and it was in the perfect length. Like most of them are like 10 to 20 minutes long, so it's like I can eat food, and then it ends, and then I'm done eating food. I'm like, okay, that was the perfect amount of badass story, awesome animation, and just interesting shit to keep me tantalized. And I'm looking forward to season 2 if they make it. Looking back, I should have stayed on the phone, but for some stupid reason, I thought I'd be in trouble if I told her about the man. I grabbed my things and told him my mother was here and I had to go. My blood ran cold when he told me that he had seen me before and would be waiting for me to come back. I don't know why I didn't tell an adult. I think I was scared, both of getting in trouble and even more of him getting mad and doing something to me. I was so ill-equipped to deal with something like this and probably hoped if I just ignored it, it would go away. The next day I did tell some friends at school. One told her mother, who was horrified. My friend had a lot of younger siblings, and they often went to that library. Often we went together, and they had driven me home before. That turned out to be my saving grace. I had no idea what might happen. I have no idea what might have happened otherwise. That day after school, my friend and her mother went to the library with other siblings as they were already planning to do. It turns out this creepy man really had been watching me intently. He was back and proceeded to approach the family and ask about me by name. The mother told him he needed to stop harassing young girls and threatened to call the police. I'm still so grateful to that woman for standing up for me like that. Miraculously, it seemed to work. I never went to the police, but no, I probably should have. I lived in that area for another 5 years and never saw him again. Scary puppets and tapeworms. Like the one episode about like the military dudes who were also werewolves, I thought that was sick as fuck. Or like the one where there's like I don't know, it's almost like a space spider that like draws in people who are in like cryo sleep, and it like pulls, like whenever they go out of they get lost or whatever, it like pulls them into her space spider nest or something. And like in many ways she said she was trying to help people, which I thought was the creepiest part, was that once, because basically she keeps them in like a continuous like hibernation state while I presume she feeds on them or keeps them alive or some fucking thing. But whenever they come out of the realization that they're in a constant repetitive dream or something of that nature, she shows them the reality of the situation. It's just like so terrifying to know that they're in it. But she says she's trying to help them, but at the same time it seems as if though she's like feeding off of them slowly, you know what I mean? Yeah, 800 viewers, baby, we did it tonight. That's huge. What's the anime with the ninja dude with fox ears? Is that, yeah, Inuyasha, Samurai Jack and the Powerpuff Girls? Hell yeah. Remember the Powderpuff Girls made a reference to South Park one time whenever Blossom got knocked into a bunch of like school clothes, and she like is wearing one of Eric Cartman's like outfits like by falling into it, and she's like, dude, seriously? It was really funny because I was the only little kid to get it at the time because I was cool enough to watch South Park. Alright guys, we're gonna read the outro here. I could seriously dub for anime. That would be badass, dude. I would love that. I would love that. Fuck. Hey guys, it's me, Anime Boy 2. I'm here to tell you that I've got tentacles, and some of these tentacles might just find their way inside of you. Sorry. Anyways, let's read this outro. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys to tell me something funny to say. Oh my god, you're the voice behind Sarah. I am not. That was my friend Axeman Cartoons, who actually just recently put out, I don't know if you guys follow Axeman Cartoons, you totally should. Very talented animator and writer, and just a general like badass dude out of Boston. And Brittany, I'm probably gonna say that, yeah. But like he just recently released a new animation on his channel. You should check out. It's like a prologue to a kind of a grander story that he's actually apparently going to be connecting with the, you know, Sarah demon and things of that nature. But I believe Sarah, the voice of Sarah, was actually done by, if you guys recall, the narrator Eden. Do you guys remember Eden? She's a narrator, has been on Corpse Husband's channel, my channel, a few others' channels. She does like a mixture of Let's Plays and creepypasta narrations on her channel. I'm not sure if she's as active anymore, but very cool person. And yeah, I think she was the one that did like the Sarah, you know, it's like, I think it's a female voice if I recall correctly, but then Axeman kind of like distorted the shit out of it to make it sound real spooky doogie. Karina with the 8 Aussie bucks says, hey Joel, who's your favorite horror movie killer? Mine is Michael Myers. I'd marry that guy. That's a good question. I would probably have to say it's gonna be... Do you remember in Creepshow, the original movie, where it was like an anthology of quite a few different stories. Love Creepshow, but one of the stories that involved, it was they found a crate that was from Antarctica, like 200 years old, and it was underneath the stairs at this old college, and it turned out that it was like this fucking Antarctic like carnivorous monkey creature that lived inside of this crate. And I just remember like, you know, like they were investigating it, and then it just like fucked up his like one of his grad students or something, one of the main character's grad students, and then like it just showed it like bite into his fucking face. And back then in the 80s, early 90s, you know, it was a lot of claymation sort of carnage, which I thought was fucking terrifying. I don't know what it was about that back then, but claymation always fucked me up. And the way that things like, you know, just razor sharp teeth like dig into his face, it was just so visceral. And but at the same time, I just thought like that character was one of the coolest character like movie monsters, where every time it killed someone, it would pull them back into its box, and it never really wanted to leave this box, even though like it was kept in there as a cage. But like it would just come out just enough to like kill, and it was old as fuck too, which is crazy. And Pulanita, Paolo says, good night, Joe. Sleep well. Hey, thank you. You as well. Thank you, thank you. Oh, yeah, what was it I was going to read the ending here. Oh, yeah, about saving the Ninja Turtles. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, we must save the Ninja Turtles. Oh, wait. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, we have to save the Ninja Turtles. Boom. A lot of people get worried about the normal turtles, but they never think about the Ninja Turtles. I really think it'd be a grander investment in, you know, the longevity of the Earth against, you know, tyranny and bad men, by making sure that we don't choke Ninja Turtles with straws. It's just, you know, I'm just kind of a forward thinker that way. I never go to sleep, but I keep waking up. Well, hugs and kisses, my friends. Thank you so much for another legendary night here. You guys are so incredibly kind. Sorry about the, once again, about the technical hiccups we had earlier, but it turned out to be an amazing stream. Close to 3 hours here. Well, plus the 20 minutes from earlier, it would be a solid 3-hour stream. As you all know, I will be editing this video here. We're going to be getting it up on Patreon for early access. The audio, you can download the MP3 there. Only $1 a month. And then I'll probably, hopefully here soon, add a $5 tier and a $15 tier for additional creepypasta and maybe even some, you know, smutty smut. You never know. And yeah, I will be releasing this video today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, adjusted for wherever you are here on our beautiful Earth. Thank you to YouTube for just being able to broadcast this and make dreams happen. And thank you to all of you for being amazing. Edit me, daddy. Ooh, ooh. Edit my audio, daddy. But either way, thank you guys for entertaining my insanity. I love you. And I'll see you again oh so soon.